All right, me lovelies, we are live. So my name is Kevin Mattison, and I am the Dungeon Muser. Unfortunately today, well, not unfortunately, fortunately for me, while I will be your Dungeon Muser today, I will not be your Dungeon Master. Instead, I'm going to be turning over that awesome responsibility to my good friend Arlen Walker, who will be running us through a session of the One Ring Roleplaying Game. You may be asking, Kevin, you sound a little different than you do usually. Have you had a stroke or something? Perhaps have you been drinking during the day? No, that's not the case. You see, because I knew that Colin would be playing today, I decided to try and do my very best for a West Country accent. And that is because my character today is Rufus Burrows, who is an hobbit from the Shire who spends his days growing apples and making cider. But enough about the hero of this journey. Let's turn it over to our lore master, Arlen Walker.
All right.
Arlen, finally take it away and let me stop talking like this.
Thank you for that introduction. Let's do the normal. Everybody say who you are and who you're playing, and then we'll. Like I said, we'll do a little bit of system overview, and then we will get into the game. So, Jonathan, I think you're up first.
Excellent. Well, I'll be role-playing a bold and fierce dunderling called Cleona the Short of Temper. She likes to swing around a great axe and has a shield, and she's your hunter slash, I don't know, outdoorsman. Kind of fights with her inner fierceness and loses her temper quite often.
Excellent. How about you, Colin?
I am Orfin Shinks on this occasion, a Mirkwood elf, a warden defending those not able to defend themselves against the powers of shadow.
Wait, is that a play on elves and selves?
Oh no. We just got started.
All right. George, what about you?
I am playing Baron Nor Newen Gileath, who is a ranger of the north, who once traveled with a more famous ranger than he, by the name of Strider. He goes by the name Finder in the common tongue. And he is keen-eyed and fierce, and he knows a little bit too much about the shadow for his liking.
That's always a concern.
Yes,
All
he
right.
is lured by power.
So let's talk just for a minute about how this system works. So basically, when you roll something, you always roll a fancy 12-sider called a feat die and a certain number of 6-siders. The 12-sider has numbers 1 through 10, and then one side has an Eye of Sauron, and one side has a Gandalf rune. Eye of Sauron counts as 0. Gandalf rune counts as an automatic success. Everything else is just worth its number. You add together the number that you roll on the 12-sider and the 6-siders, and if that beats the target number, that's a success. If you beat the target number and you rolled a 6, that's a great success. And if you beat the target number and rolled 2 or more 6s, that's an extraordinary success. So it is possible to have these special types of successes, and some cases they mean certain different things. So in combat, for instance, great successes mean more damage, basically. There's a couple of other special things that happen, but for the most part, that's it. And Roll20, because it's super cool, will just automatically roll whatever you need to roll if you click on the little die on your character sheet next to whatever it is that you are trying to roll.
Nice.
So,
Cool.
Let us start where else but the Shire in Hobbiton with Rufus Burrows. Kevin, why don't you tell us about Rufus?
Well, as I said, Rufus is an apple farmer. He grows apples in an orchard that's been in his family for many years, and he produces the famous Burrows cider. And the reason he's hit the road is because he's been having some troubles with his apples lately, and when he was asking around, he heard about a wizard named Radagast who lives over the Misty Mountains. And while Rufus is quite stout-hearted and he's quite determined, he's not terribly clever. So he didn't recognize the difficulties that might come from venturing over the Misty Mountains and going to see the elves. So he set out to try and find an answer to his apple problem.
Excellent. So we start off over here in Hobbiton, in the Shire, and Rufus makes his way along the road into Breeland and to Bree, and in particular to the most famous inn in any of the various fantasy stories, the Inn of the Prancing Pony. And there he met a ranger who goes by the name of Finder. And George, why don't you tell us about Finder?
Hello, little one. I am Baranor, son of Baradel. He comes from the line of Numenor, being a ranger, Dunedain. He carries a blade called Underestel, which means the hope of the West. This was crafted, what he's been told, it was crafted by Celebrimbor himself and gifted to a king of Numenor. But it was ultimately bestowed upon one of Baranor's ancestors, Radagast II, for protecting the king from an assassination attempt before Numenor fell. And it has made its way down the line to Baranor, who is unsure whether he is worthy of wielding such a blade. So he's very careful with it, and he only unsheathes it when he feels that there is mortal danger. And he is seeking out advice from Radagast as well, because he spotted something in the Coldfells on this side of the mountains that he had never been seen before in this country. It looked like a rider in black, and he had been warned that if he were to see such a thing, he should alert a wizard.
Excellent. So Rufus and Finder, finding their paths to be harmonious, decided to travel together all along the East Road, and I'm going to ping a couple of places on here, over the last bridge and into the Vale of Imladris, the home of Elrond, half-elven, and the
he might know
House
something
of
about apples
Rivendell.
as well.
He might, but
I don't think
unfortunately,
he wants your apples.
Oh, I don't want his apple.
unfortunately, Rivendell itself is rather hard to find, and so you guys don't spend any time in the house itself, and instead travel over the high pass of the Misty Mountains and into what is called the Wilderland. And we're going to move over to the Wilderland map. And there we go. And here we have Rivendell over here, the high pass, and over here. Why don't Rufus and Finder, why don't you both make a travel check for me? It'll be difficulty 14, and that'll see sort of how you fared going over the high pass.
Let's see if he is indeed made of stern stuff. He is not.
So, as might be expected, Baranor of the line of Numenor is a wonderful traveler. He has an extraordinary success with those 2 6s. And that is, in fact, good enough to keep Rufus out of some level of trouble that he might otherwise have gotten into.
Shanks, not all of us have legs like yours.
Listen, little master, be careful of these ledges. That's a long way down. But along the way, you have some of your apples with you?
Do I have what?
Cav, do you have any of your apples?
Yes, of
Are
course.
you carrying any of it? Are you keeping them to yourself, or do you are?
I tell you, it's probably not my apples you want. It's a little bit of Burrows cider.
I'm liking you more and more, little one. So
I hear that
will
a lot.
imbibe. Yeah. You have any of that pipe weed, perchance?
I do not.
Well, for another time.
I'm
then.
an hobbit. I suppose I would.
When we return home, perhaps we will share some.
Indeed. You can meet me old Da.
Sounds good.
Excellent. And so they passed along the road.
And so the idiots kept on going.
Like the
Good,
worst.
I'm glad. You guys are role playing. It's fun. That's what this system is about. There's a lot of the Adventures in Middle Earth session that I ran. We spent almost an hour with characters just, listening to the dwarves sing songs and trying to blow more and more impressive smoke rings and all of this ridiculous stuff. And it was great.
That's
it was
awesome.
great fun. So here at the Old Ford, they met another character, and that would be Orfin. And Colin, why don't you tell us about Orfin?
I am Orfin Shinks, Mirkwood elf, at your service. What brings you to these parts?
Is he a man or a woman?
No, he is an elf. Mind your manners.
Indeed, I am an elf, and I am
greeting.
sharp. I am an elf indeed, and sharp of hearing,
Ooh.
and
You
also
better remember
sharp of tongue, should the need arise.
Hmm.
However,
No offense meant, ma'am. No offense meant.
He does not leave home much.
no,
Well met. We traveled toward Rhosgobel in search of Radagast the Brown.
Then you're headed in the same direction as my good self. Allow me to accompany you, if I may. These roads can be dangerous, and I've travelled them many times.
Oh.
Very good. What is your business with Radagast?
I just seek his counsel for matters of Thranduil's business, shall we say? I don't mean to be secretive, but
No, I understand. You are in the king's work.
Wonder, who's this Thranduil?
he is the king,
King of what?
king of the Great Green Wood.
Oi.
Who else would I be referring to?
Well, I don't know. Could
Oh,
be the
yes, well,
king
of
under
course.
the mountain.
I forget you're perhaps not so well travelled, and yes, outside of the Shire, news probably doesn't get to your ears.
No, I suppose it doesn't.
No, it's Thranduil. He is our king, and we seek to drive the shadow from this once great wood that you see in the far distance. That is Mirkwood.
Is that shadow what you were looking for? Finder.
Oh, I think I wasn't looking for it, but it found me.
Oi. You might want to talk to him. He seems to have found a shadow.
Found the shadow,
Yeah.
indeed.
I will talk to him later. Thank you for
All right.
pointing that out.
Interesting.
I definitely don't want to talk about that in front of him.
So,
However, I am reluctantly starting to have some level of fondness for him because I feel like he's bringing. I'm very dour because of experiences I've had, and there is something about the life energy that he puts out that's semi-charming, but also like rejuvenating in some interesting way.
See, Finder, we call that the Burrows cider.
I was thinking,
And that's the effect that it has.
That does seem to help.
Oi.
judging by the rosy glow of your complexion and the wafting scent of apples on the air, I
If I may,
suspect
are any of you carrying an axe?
An axe, no.
Oh,
Okay, I'm just for future. Okay.
so the company, newly formed, made their way onward, first through the Vale of Anduin, and then into the eaves of Mirkwood, into the area ruled by the Woodmen. And you can see the settlements of the Woodmen. Cleona's covering Woodman Town.
We've gone into Mirkwood.
Into the eaves of Mirkwood.
So we see a very brief scene of Rufus kind of spitting out a bit of apple and saying, "Spiders as big as what?"
And I can
Don't
show
worry.
you, this is sort of what the eaves of Mirkwood look like.
Oh, lovely.
Relatively well-traveled, easy to get through. This is essentially the nicest part of the forest for everyone except perhaps Orfin, who of course prefers the northern area, which is the Kingdom of Thranduil.
And this is your own Orfir.
Well, technically, under better circumstances, yes, it would. However, we are at war with the shadow at the present time, and some would say we are almost besieged, as only recent developments and foreign, let's just say the three peoples have come together to a little bit of an understanding following the battle of what has become known as the Battle of the Five Armies. We now enjoy a sort of understanding.
I see.
And the woodmen are really eking out a living on this part of the woods. But
there's men that live in these trees.
There are, yes, the woodmen.
Oi.
Mm. And these paths that we travel now are so well known and easy navigated. We barely even sing of these routes. We reserve our lore and our songs of navigation for the more, should we say, secretive areas.
Oh, I see. So why do you
once
sing about...
Once again, I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
Why do you sing about the places you want to keep secret?
Because we sing them in our old tongue, and
oh, I see.
On the basis that you perhaps don't know Thranduil, it seems unlikely that you speak our old tongue also. So it is fairly safe to say that is good enough secrecy around these parts.
It's like strange music on my ears.
Yes, well, think of it as like a nursery rhyme or learning your letters. We sing these songs to remember our sort of our past and our geography, etc.
That's strange you say that. We do the same thing too.
With your apples?
No, with our you haven't heard about the hobbit from Nantucket then?
I'm going to guess the elf has not heard that one.
No. I'm sorry, Nantucketshire.
Yes.
No.
So before we get to Rufus's story,
yeah, it cuts away right as he starts.
Let's cut away to meeting Cleona just outside of Rhosgobel itself, in the wood of Mirkwood, the eaves of Mirkwood, this area, and just outside of Rhosgobel, you meet a fourth future member of the company, Cleona. And Jonathan, why don't you tell us about Cleona?
Well, indeed. So as you guys approach, he kind of steps out of the shadows of the trees, skin a bit fairer than not seeing the sun quite often. And she says, my. The last time we saw, since she looks an elf, a man, and a hobbit travel these roads, they had a dwarf with them. And seeing as you have no axe, you might find trouble in these woods. Would you like some company? And she has like a two-handed axe on her shoulder and wields it with one as though it weighed nothing.
Ooh, she looks useful.
Looks like a formidable warrior.
And you can tell immediately that she's a Dundaling, but her hair and eyes are a lot lighter than they should be. And she, instead of wearing dull colors, she's got like bright blue and almost aqua marine coloring and tattoos like face paint on.
Well, in these days, there's no telling what evil might lurk in these woods, so we could use your axe.
Shadows I've seen, and I've come to tell Radagast.
We're all going to see Radagast then. Have any of you met him before?
I've not.
No.
Only in passing.
Do you know what he looks like?
I hear he wears brown.
Oi. Anyone
He
else?
does indeed.
I don't think it'd be hard to find.
And in fact, he's not that hard to find because he lives at a place called Rhosgobel, which is where you arrive. And this is Rhosgobel. You can see a number of outbuildings surrounded by a hedge, the main hall, and then the sort of secretive, shall we say, the wizard's lair, where Radagast himself resides.
Ooh.
And Cleona
In the
scratches her
throat.
head and says, "I know nothing of this place. It's well defended, though."
It is,
what I was
and
thinking. This is quite homey for a wizard's house.
Is that like a big hedge, thorn hedge or something like that around it?
yes, that's
Yeah.
precisely what it is.
And is his place is that clump of trees, is it, or the large house?
His place is the clump of trees. The large house is the sort of longhouse for the settlement.
Yeah.
And so that's where you all will be staying while you stay in Rhosgobel. Probably sleeping on the floor, but it's better than sleeping out in the woods.
But not preferable to sleeping in an hole.
No, it's not. It's not as good as a nice comfy home under the hill.
Well, Cleona's got some nice soft bear skin that she uses as armor, and a pillow is needed, so she'll be fine.
Excellent. So each of you come to Rhosgobel, and we'll imagine that you speak to Radagast at least some about your particular problems. And unfortunately, he's not really able to help any of you, or at least not in any way that seems meaningful yet, although perhaps the ways of the wise are inscrutable to most. And so
It's almost as if he's got bigger fish to fry than my apples.
it is almost as if he's got bigger things to deal with. And in fact, one of the things to deal with is that winter will quickly set in, and you decide to spend the winter in Rhosgobel itself, where you help out around. I assume that each of you finds a good way to put your specific skills to use, helping the woodsmen of Rhosgobel.
I'm
through
still
winter.
in hunting, and
Yes.
Cleona happens to love the winter. It goes with her demeanor and skin, I suppose.
Me dad say I've been born with 2 green thumbs, so I'm happy to help with my herb lore.
Excellent.
I instigate plenty of snowball fights with the children.
That's great.
Nice.
And I can,
And so,
I can assist in any sort of patrols that they do of their perimeter. And of an evening, I can sing them songs and regale them with some tunes on my traveling harp.
As long as you speak in common.
I'll tell the children, listen very carefully. There's secrets in them songs.
That's probably
Indeed, there is.
true. And I will do scouting around Rhosgobel, and once a day, just to see if there's anything lurking nearby.
I have a tracking specialty, so if we need to hunt people or things, I can I can help as well. So
Cool.
well, that's going to become very useful, because after a fine, uneventful winter, once again, spring is coming to the land, and hunting parties gather at the edge of Rhosgobel's hedge wall on this beautiful, perhaps the first, or if not the first, one of the first days of spring, whatever. I'm not sure if it snows or not in Rhosgobel, but certainly there's no more frost. The world has come back to life. Children are laughing, dogs are barking. There's pungent wood smoke that fills your hearts with a hearty sense of adventure, perhaps.
I'll have planted a small stand of apple trees for old Radagast as well.
Cool.
Excellent. So you have made friends with a couple of woodsmen, Amalric and Evoric and Hiva and Thorismund. And these 4 are planning to travel with you 4 on as one hunting party into the Mirkwood.
Oh, cool.
The day is overcast, the dew is thick, and you approach the Mirkwood. The world is in the process of waking up. The woodsmen are in good spirits. They're competing with each other with claims of what they'll bring back to Rhosgobel at the end of the day. The hounds are chasing each other back and forth, and every once in a while leaning down to sniff the ground to see if they can pick up anything. Is there anything you would like to do as you move into Mirkwood itself?
complain about giant spiders.
Complain about giant spiders is always a good idea when going into Mirkwood.
I ready, instead of carrying around the axe, I make sure my spears are ready and sharp.
Wait,
Just a quick
Leona,
question.
have you seen them?
I've heard of spiders.
No, but have you seen them?
No.
Oh.
Then that is for the best.
Yeah,
Right.
keep your eyes up. The danger here comes from above.
So just rules question. If I want to invoke a trait, so I have this four-sided trait. That's my cultural blessing. It then will. I use the normal trait rules to invoke it, which means spending a hope point, if I'm remembering correctly.
No, you invoke it in a situation when it is applicable to a task that you're doing.
Okay. So because it's Mirkwood and I'm concerned about spiders and other things of the shadow or evil that may be lying in wait for us, I want to have this sense of watchfulness to protect the entire hunting party.
Yes.
And then that will last for the whole session, it says.
Yes. And what you sense with your Dunedain foresight is perhaps more mixed than what the feelings of the huntsman ought to suggest. There's the growing tinge of shadow as you go further and further into trackless Mirkwood, which looks like this.
Can I make can I size up the group to kind of figure out, just I guess work out who's the good hunters here? Do these woodmen know what they're doing? I just want to kind of put my experienced eye over the group and make some assessment of the situation.
Yeah, so tell you what, how about everybody makes a hunting roll of target number 14, and that will tell us who is doing well and who is not.
All right.
Okay, so Finder rolled that Gandalf rune, which means it's an automatic success, so whatever you had rolled on those other ones.
Even if I hadn't rolled high enough on adding the dice up, that would still be a success?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not particularly good at hunting.
Okay.
We're looking this way, Rufus, over here.
Oi. Well, he said to keep my eyes up. Everything's up from me.
That's a fair point.
Rufus is clearly the most inept hunter, unfortunately, and perhaps he has never been on a stag hunt like this before. It's unclear whether the hobbits go out on hunts at all in the Shire, but it seems unlikely that they do it regularly, if they do it at all.
They're farmers.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not wholly surprised by his hunting performance. However, I don't hold it against him. He's obviously not cut out for such things.
Baranor and Orfin, you both notice tracks running through the forest, and in fact, it is only as you look up from the tracks that you realize that Cleona is already standing at essentially the end of one section of tracks and pointing at another section, having figured out precisely where the deer are going. And in fact, Cleona can tell you that there are multiple deer on this path.
And Cleona says, you have no idea how many times I've had to track in the bare earth to find these, and goats in the mountains are even harder.
Oi. How do you manage to do this stuff? If you've got to keep your eyes up for what might get you, and you got to keep your eyes down for what you're hunting.
Sometimes your ears serve better, and the soles of your feet feel the vibrations.
I'm not sure. I don't think my feet are working properly then.
One must divide their attentions and then focus on the kill.
Finder, you've got a very serious look on your face.
I sense a threat in this wood. I think we must be wary.
It's not spiders, is it?
It may be.
So Amalric, who's the sort of leader of this group, claps Cleona on the shoulder and says, "Everyone stay behind me. There can be foul creatures in these woods, and we'd hate to run into some of them." And you march through the forest as quietly as you can for a little while.
Until try and stick a little close to Rufus there, just because he's smaller and she has an instinct to protect him. She goes, "You got a dagger?"
I've got a knife.
You should have two.
Is it like a kitchen knife or?
No, I've got a sword.
Okay.
I'm not. Pappy Burrows didn't raise any fools. Got me shield with me. I've got me sword.
Very good. You are well outfitted.
A fully equipped adventurer for sure.
Yes.
Oh, and which among you wise folk thought to bring cider with you?
I neglected to bring the cider. You're quite right, Mr. Burrows.
Leona wrinkles her nose up at that. Is like that dulls the wits on the hunt. Should be only used after.
In a place like this, I'd think that a little dulled wits might help.
Pat him on the head.
Also true.
I suspect he could put away a fair bit of that cider before his wits got any duller.
Yes.
My wit. Old Pappy Burrows said me sword's always sharper than me wit, so.
So, Amalric, after leading you through the forest, holds up his hand to signal to stop and walks forward ahead a few paces, leans down and looks off into the distance and comes back and signals for you guys to gather up around him and says, "There's a few deer and a stag ahead in a clearing. The woodsman and I will go after the stag. You bag as many deer as you can." Agreed?
Very well.
I'm looking at Cleona as if to say, you know, what do you think? She seemed the most accomplished of the trackers and stuff. Has she picked up on this? Does this seem legit?
She eyes the party that came with us and tries to size up like what kind of armor they're wearing, like if they're prepared for the horns of the stag. Because if they're not, she might think that they're not better off for it, because she's seen one of those kill a man.
Wait, the deers kill people in here too?
Yeah, but they don't have pointy, sharp objects on their head.
Yes, so the stag, I believe, does not have antlers, or if it does, it's still the fuzz-covered new growth because it's spring.
Yeah.
But it's certainly large and impressive, as you can see just from a quick glance. The deer are kind of smaller and squatter, and the stag is this massive creature.
Because,
Look at those things.
She'll say, in that case, for them against the stag, yeah, let's get some deer.
Are these is there any have we got a visual on them yet? Can we see the target?
You can see just a little bit through the trees. If you have decided to go after the deer, you can roll stealth against TN 14 to try to sneak up on them.
We'll try and take point.
I want to do that too.
We're quite stealthy what we need to be.
And if the roll isn't too good, I'll probably use a point of hope just to make sure.
See that.
Nice.
Shinks.
Yeah, I'm going to use a point of hope to boost that.
Yes.
I think that'll let me use my favored skill.
Cleona.
Or
stealth is not a favored skill, but you get 7 for your wits. So this is a good time to talk about how hope works.
Yeah.
Cool.
When you roll, if you do not hit the target number, you can spend one of your points of hope to add the applicable attribute. So you have 3 attributes: body, heart, and wits. These skills are arranged in columns so that it's obvious which goes with which. Basically all combat stuff goes with body, and then heart also applies to corruption checks, which is using the wisdom roll. You spend a point of hope. You can add your raw attribute, or if it is a favored skill, you add your favorite attribute. So, for instance, For Cleona, her wits is 7, but her favored wits is 8. If stealth had been favored, she'd be able to add 8 points. As it is, she's only able to add 7 points, which is still enough to beat the target number of 14.
She doesn't want to look a fool, so that's why she did it.
And Orphan, you haven't rolled yet. Are you going to try to sneak up?
Yeah, I'm in an observation role at the moment because as a dweller in these woods, my concern is for the sustainability of these hunting missions. And I'll be trying to size up whether there's a good deer to take to keep the natural herd strong. So if there's going to be pregnant does and stuff like that, I don't want to be shooting. So I want to get nice and close to make a good decision.
A good point. I agree with that.
So I'm doing stealth, okay?
Yeah, stealth.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
Nice.
Excellent. So, Cleona and Orphan, both of you sink down into the underbrush and move up quietly. And there's a moment of hesitation where you realize you've lost track of both Rufus and Finder as they are so quick to sneak into the underbrush and move almost as if they aren't even touching the leaves as they pass. They're almost preternaturally able to sneak up towards these deer. And you can see, in fact, there is one deer that seems to be a mother, but the 3 others are perfectly fine targets for Orphan and for all of you.
Yeah, Cleona just grumbles under her breath, just soft enough for the sharp-eared elf to hear. She goes, "Damn rangers and hobbits."
We're quite quiet when we need to be.
That's right.
All right. So if you would like to attack the deer.
Yeah, my spear is ready for a volley.
All right. So give me a second to create a deer icon so that I can keep track of their hit points.
My plan is launching a spear and then moving in and drawing my axe.
No, that didn't work. Okay.
I'm saving me arrows for a spider.
Yeah. Cleona whispers under her breath again, just so the elf can hear her. Do you favor the bow or the sword?
Yeah, I favour the bow. Yes.
Then she says, "Typical elf."
Yeah, that's well. It is our way.
She likes to get up close and personal.
To each their own.
No, it keeps not working. Okay, never mind. I'm just going to keep track on my notes sheet. All right, so in order to hit the deer, you will make difficulty 16 ranged attacks. The deer have an endurance of 7, so this is a good chance to talk about how attacks work. You will roll, like everything else, a feat die and a certain number of success die. On a regular success, it does the damage based on the weapon. On a great success, which is rolling 1/6 in addition to beating the target number, it will do the damage of the weapon plus your personal damage rating. And on an extraordinary success, it does the damage of the weapon, your personal damage rating, and your personal damage rating again. That's dealt to the endurance of enemies. Now, there's something else that happens, which is based on the roll of your feat die. If it is high enough to hit the edge of your weapon, which is a special number dependent on the weapon, you have the chance of causing a wound to the creature. So almost all enemies, 1 wound kills them. Getting rid of the endurance kills them. That's certainly the case for these deer. So whoever is taking a shot, why don't you make a target number 16 ranged attack?
Okay, I'm definitely going to take a shot with a spear.
Yeah.
I'd say a called shot, but I don't feel that confident right now.
Yeah, called shot is probably also not necessary right now.
Come on. Yes!
Excellent.
Wow, nice.
Is that Gandalf thing? Yeah, that's enough to cause a wound, isn't it?
That is enough to cause a wound, and these don't have any protection. So
my spear is a pierced weapon, so yeah. Well, on a called shot anyway.
So there's a difference between called shots and piercing shots. Piercing shots is what happens based on what you roll on the feat die, and that will cause a wound. Called shots can result in piercing shots, but there are other types of called shots. So if you take a called shot with an axe, you're actually attacking the enemy's shield. If you take a called shot with a sword, you're attempting to disarm them. So Finder and Cleona rolled. Rufus and Orfin, are you guys taking shots?
Have I still got a target, or have they dropped the target?
This is all simultaneously,
Oh,
so
okay.
you can take your shot with you. We're assuming that you guys know to not attack until everybody is going to attack.
Yep.
So we roll damage after.
I would not make that assumption if I were you.
Okay, everybody except Rufus is experienced enough to do that, and hopefully Rufus figures it out.
Rufus is not shooting anyway.
Rufus is not shooting. Excellent. So, unfortunately, 2 shots go wide. Finder and Orfin both miss the mark. Perhaps the deer is spooked before you actually take your shot, and it becomes a more difficult shot. Cleona, with a wicked throw, pierces the side of one of these deer, and it stumbles for a second and then falls to the ground. The other deer, there are 3 of them. One of them, the mother that you don't want to attack, and 2 others are running. And if you'd like to chase after them, you can, but you don't have to because you've already brought down 1 deer.
We're gonna just instantly. She's in the moment. She just starts running out, and as she passes the other deer, she rips the spear out and starts chasing them.
All right. Give me an athletics check.
Favored, but I don't think that matters because I'm not spending hope. Against 14?
Against 14.
Nope.
No. So you race after.
And I stumble.
Yeah, as you pull out the spear, you stumble, maybe trip against a tree and catch yourself, and the deer are gone. And in fact, so too are your woodsman friends, who seem to have chased after their stag, unable to bring it down in the first volley. What would you like to do?
I look for my friends to see if they're still here.
Okay, everybody who's going to look for the woodsman friends,
Well,
give me
I mean the elf, the hobbit, and the human.
Okay, you look back and you can see that they're just fine. Orfin blends into the trees with his elven cloak, of course. Finder and Rufus are also harder than you might expect to spot. They're able to stand very still and seemingly avoid notice.
I look around and say, "Oi, we need to find the guys, but we need to put this spear up where something can't get it. Otherwise, we hunted for nothing."
We've already got one of these. Do we really need another?
No, we need to tie it up in a tree or something. The body.
What, for the spiders?
Oh, she looks down and shakes her head.
Orfin is glancing around at this, looking visibly agitated. Where are the woodmen?
No, I don't like this. Do we hear any sounds at all?
I'll look up.
Everybody roll awareness against T and 12 for me, and we'll see who hears something.
Hobbits have good ears. 12. Yeah, I told you.
That's right.
Excellent. So Finder and Rufus, you can hear.
That sounds like a horn.
What's that then?
And it is cut off. And then you hear, all of you, a sound of something guttural cried out as if in rage, coming from off to the side.
Oh, Orfin, that's not what spiders
And Finder,
sound like.
your foresight is telling you that this is the shadow that you were worried about.
Minions of the shadow approach. Prepare yourselves.
Can I use me folklore to find out what that might be?
Find out what the hunting horn is?
Sound.
Yeah, it's a hunting horn.
No, the guttural one.
Oh, the guttural one. You cannot use folklore for that.
I've got shadow lore. Can I use shadow lore?
You could use shadow lore for that.
I also have shadow lore.
Yeah, and in fact, what you can tell is that this is almost certainly the black speech. that is the speech of the servants of shadow, and it is being shouted as if in war cries, and you all, I assume, rush towards this sound. Perhaps some of you slower than others if you're
Now,
not.
let's not make any assumptions just yet. It might be friendly black speech. Orcs.
Yeah, I'm gonna take off toward it. Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Cleona's going to follow, but stick close to the hobbit just because he seems slower.
Oh, yeah, I'm fast on my feet. You try and keep
Can
up,
I
Longshanks.
slide along a tree trunk or something like that? Jump
I'm
on a
running
tree
right
trunk.
towards it.
Yes.
If
All right.
Finder and the elf are going, I'm going.
All right. And
That's
so
a
what
good
you
idea.
see is
I'm
then
wearing my lucky armor.
That's gonna help too.
excellent. You guys are on the right side. So you can see the group of woodsmen. This is an icon to represent them, clustered together into a sort of shield wall. One of them clearly wounded and lying on the ground, another behind shooting arrows, because there's also a group of orcs.
Orcs.
And we're going to go into combat.
What would I know about orcs?
You probably don't know anything about orcs except sort of bedtime stories you might have been told as a child about the creatures that will come in the night to get you.
Ooh.
If you don't brush your teeth and stuff.
Yes.
Or even uglier than I thought.
Cleona's going to, as we do move into combat, like step forward and like bash her shield with her spear and say, "Oi, you shadow spawn bags of excrement, leave them alone."
All right. So, who has the highest battle score?
I've got 1.
I'll have to check, but I'm fairly certain it's not Rufus.
Yeah, I would guess it's not
I've
Rufus.
got 3.
You've got 3. Okay.
Where is
Finder,
battle?
do you want to quickly take command right here and see if you can seize initiative?
I do. In fact, I'm going to draw my blade, which is of royal lineage, even though I might not be myself. And I shing, and I brandish it, and I make sure it makes that sound.
Yes.
Because it's such a perfectly, well-crafted blade. It like rings out and goes to great distance, so they hear it.
And this, of course, catches their attention immediately. And you can't understand the language, but you hear shouts. And a group of these orcs, that is a couple of I'm on the wrong layer. That's why I can't select them. 3 orc soldiers and 2 goblin archers move away from the woodsmen and towards you guys. So you're going to have initiative because Finder has Baranor now. We'll call him that because he's revealing himself. Has a good battle roll, and so he is able to kind of instinctively take command. So the way this works is, first off, we're going to do opening volleys. Everybody with a ranged weapon can make 1 attack. Orfin, you get to make a 2nd attack because of your cultural reward.
Yeah, woodland bow. Yeah.
Do we have to call a target?
So you have to decide if you're shooting at an archer or at a soldier because they have slightly different parry ratings.
I'm going to shoot at an archer.
Okay.
I feel like I wouldn't sheathe my sword again.
You're not going to put your
I'm
sword.
just gonna.
Yeah.
Just hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's do this again.
It's not even strong. I'm like, no, wait, hold on.
What's my target number to hit the goblins?
So target number to hit the goblins with ranged weapons will be 14. Target number to hit the orc soldiers will be 16.
I called the right target.
Do they look like they've got a discernible leader in their number?
They do not. There's none of them that are particularly large or extra intimidating. These are common or garden orcs.
Now, you said I could spend a point of hope to add my body to the number rolled, yes?
Yes.
I'm going to do that so I can hit one of the goblins.
Excellent.
And my feat roll is equal to my edge.
Yes.
So that means I did a piercing shot, yes?
That is exactly what it means. So your bow has injury 14. So this goblin archer has to make an armor roll against difficulty 14.
Good luck with that, ugly.
No.
So you have hit it. No, for my characters, that is lore master characters that are adversaries, Gandalfs are bad for them, and Eyes of Sauron are good. So since it rolled a Gandalf,
It's
where do you hit this with a piercing shot that kills this goblin?
He's trying to line up. He's got one eye closed, another open, trying to see me, and I land the arrow right in his eye.
Excellent.
Nice.
Nice.
Take that, ugly.
I'm also going to launch my spear, but are the orc warriors have a shield, or are they just two-handed weapons? Or
they have a shield. They have a parry of 3 and a shield rating of 1.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to aim for one of the back archers just because I hate arrows.
Yeah.
So that's what I will do with my spear shot.
Did an arrow kill your family?
Bows are not considered honorable weapons where she's from.
Oh.
And it was a target of 14?
Target of 14.
Dang it. Yeah, I'm not going to use it. No, so it misses. And she'll whip out her axe instead after she launches
a missed throw with the spear from Cleona. Orfin, do you want to take 2 shots?
Yeah, can I just clarify what the folk of the dusk is? Cultural blessing.
Folk of the Dusk cultural blessing. Let me double check. I've got the PDF. Oh, I've got the book open too. Why don't I look in the book?
It was I read it. It was something to do with mooching about in trees and shadows and stuff. But
yes, when an elf of Mirkwood is inside a forest or under the earth, or it is night, his attribute bonuses are based on his favored rating for all rolls involving use of a common skill. So that won't apply to weapon skills, unfortunately.
Okay, so I see the common skills. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Common skills are the main set. Weapon skills are the other ones, but you get to take 2 shots. And if you spend a point of hope, you get to add your heart rating in addition to your favored body rating. So it's really easy for you to hit things.
Okay. And how much hope is the hope up here?
I think it's the blue bar.
Yeah, the blue bar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll take it. I'm going to take a normal shot first and see how I get on with it.
Yeah. Which are you shooting at, the archer or the soldier?
I hate orcs. I can tolerate goblins to a certain extent.
All right.
So target number 16.
Target number 16.
Oh,
excellent.
Ching.
A 17, and it is a great success.
I showed you how to do that.
Yeah.
So in this case, you take the damage from the bow and the damage of your character, which is based on your body rating. So you do 9 points of endurance damage to one of these orcs with a deadly shot that doesn't quite bring it down, but it hurts him certainly. And you get to take another shot because of your special bow.
Wouldn't that be just next door to deadly shot then?
I suppose it would be just next door, Rufus.
Just
Thanks
next
for
door.
Semi-deadly.
And in order to try and break their will, I'm going to take another shot at a different target. Another orc, not obviously, but
yeah.
16.
Excellent. And then what is your edge is 10. So that's not a piercing shot, but you do 5 points of endurance damage to another of these orcs.
Oy.
And now, combat's a little complicated in this system, so we get to roll battle against TN14 to determine if you get any extra success die that you're allowed to use during the combat.
If it's a target number of 15, I shouldn't bother rolling because I've got no points then, right? Or do I roll to see if I get a Gandalf rune, right?
Yes.
So we each all roll a battle?
Everybody roll battle against 14.
Here's how it's done, my son. That's not how it's done.
Rufus, no.
So this is a common skill now. So
this is a common skill. So if you use a point of hope on battle, it will be based on your favored rating.
Oh well, that might make a difference in mine. I'm I'm going to do that because that'll kick me up just enough because my favorite is 5 instead of base 2.
This is only applies for Orfin.
Oh,
For
okay, never
Cleona,
mind.
unless battle is a favored skill, you only get to add 2 instead of
Oh,
5.
that'll still get me up, so yeah.
But you can still add 2, which would help you out.
Yeah, I'm going to do that.
And battle is heart, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Battle is heart.
Okay. But I don't have to decide until I've rolled, do I?
You don't have to decide about hope until after you've rolled.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Right. And target number was what? Sorry, 40.
14.
Yeah, that's the standard, isn't it?
That's the standard.
Yeah, no. So no, and it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't help me to use hope either. So
Cleona is the only one whose sense of the impending battle is able to give her an advantage. What you get for succeeding is an extra success die, which is the 6-siders. So before you roll one of your various rolls, you can say that you're going to use this extra one and roll 1 extra d6. And it works just like a regular d6. You can only use one of them on any given roll.
And it's only once.
And it's only 1. You only have 1. If you got a great success or an extraordinary success, you would have more success die.
oh.
But so Cleona has 1.
I did get the 6 on that roll.
Say again?
On my
Oh,
roll,
you did get a 6. So you get 2.
Sweet.
Excellent.
I'm going to split me some skulls.
Yes. So now you have to pick your stance. And there are 4 stances. Forward, open, and defensive are melee stances. Rearward is the ranged stance. You can only go into rearward if there are 2 companions in melee stances for you. So we can only have one. Only one of you will be using your bow. The rest of you will be using melee weapons in one of these stances. So the way this works is that these little numbers that are pale behind the forward, open, and defensive determine what is added to both your target number to hit and target number to be hit. So if you're in defensive, it's 12 plus your parry rating to be hit. It is 12 plus the enemy's parry rating to hit. So obviously that means if you're in forward, it's much easier to hit the enemy. It's also much easier to be hit. Then there are also some special things that happen based on your virtues or your rewards, which stance you're in. So for instance, Finder, you have royalty revealed. Mm-hmm. So if you're in forward, you can take the intimidate foe task without losing your turn.
I will be doing that.
I figured it's a super fun ability.
Yeah.
So everybody drag your token over to the area for whichever stance you want to be in.
Oh, just warning, we had a power surge flicker over here.
Yeah.
Luckily, I got a battery backup, so I shouldn't drop, but, just letting you know.
Okay, so Finder, are you in forward?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, Finder, what is your parry rating?
My parry rating.
Oh, I'm not going to let him be in forward alone. I'm going up there with him.
5.
Okay, so I'm using the turn tracker to track your total difficulty to be hit because there was a suggestion that helps out a lot. Orfin, yes, I would stay in rearward because your bow is your best attack. And then Rufus, you can take open or defensive or forward, but I'd imagine you probably don't want to get into the mix of the fighting.
I think what I'm going to do is try and help out. I was reading about my other options as a defensive fighter, and it says that I can spend a point of hope to have a target attack me at my higher target number than against theirs. So
Yes.
my somewhat overeager friend Finder, I can spend a point of hope if he's attacked and have him attack at a 12 as opposed to a 6.
Wow.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's awesome.
Cleona, what is your parry rating?
7.
7?
And I have a shield. So
Yes.
that should be a total of 8, right?
Does the parry rating include your shield or oh no, it doesn't include, so that's a total of 8. Yes.
Yeah.
So that's 14. Orfin, your 12 plus what is your parry rating? It is a 7. So that is a 19.
Can Rufus? You can't use a bow from there, can he?
I
Rufus
cannot.
cannot use a bow. And
I'm
Rufus,
much better with my sword. My parry is a 5.
a 5 plus 1 for a shield?
Yes.
Yes.
So
Excellent.
an 18 to hit me or whoever I protect.
Okay.
See, you're
So-
darn new well in selecting your shield. It was a good
Now-
choice.
Luckily for you guys, you are evenly distributed against the enemies because there's these 3 enemies that are against the woodsmen. So there are only 4 enemies for you guys. So you get to choose who you would like to attack. So Finder, why don't you go first? Of 1, 2, 3, 4. This one is the most wounded. This one is a little wounded. This one is not wounded.
I'll go to the one that's not wounded.
All right. Here he is, just for you.
Oh,
Cleona,
excellent.
how about you?
Go for the lesser wounded one, I suppose.
All right. Rufus?
Oh, that goblin. He's about my size.
All right. And then this last orc is going to come in on Finder because he can't attack Orfin because Orfin is in rearward.
Yeah.
So now, because you guys have initiative, we're finally at the point where we get to roll some attack rolls. So, Finder, you have the you're the easiest to be hit, so you get to go first. So you will roll against 6 plus 4 to hit either of these. This one is wounded. This one isn't. You get to pick if you want to attack the wounded one or the unwounded one.
I'm going to attack the unwounded one because I want them all to be wounded.
Yes.
So 6 plus
So target number of 10.
Yeah.
with your
Okay.
sword.
Great. So you will be sent back to the shadow whence you came.
And you can also, if you
I
want
wanna-
to do your royalty reveal,
Yes.
you can do that too.
Yes.
So the Intimidate Foe ability is 10 plus the highest attribute level for the target number, so that's 13. And you can use your battle for that. So if you roll battle versus 13.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Cool.
I mean, not as good as you possibly could have done, but
No.
it's great.
However, yeah, actually, although I can upgrade a success to a great success if I wanted to.
I think that's only in an encounter. Encounters are different than combat encounters.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Encounters are meetings with people. They're RP heavy talky moments.
Okay.
So you can upgrade a success in a talky moment by saying who you are, and they'll be like, "Oh wow, you're Baranor of the line of Numenor."
Cool.
You can't upgrade a success here, but you still got 13, which means that it subtracts 2 points of hate from the orcs as I see fit to subtract them, and that means this one and this one both lose their hate, and they go running because they are craven.
Oh, awesome.
So you get a free attack against either of them if you would like, Finder.
I will attack the one that is actually more damaged to try to take him down before it gets away, so the other ones see one of their comrades die. So here we go.
So this will only be against target number of 9 because it's 6 plus 3 because he can't use his shield because he's running away.
Okay, cool. Here we go.
Yeah.
Ooh.
All right.
Excellent.
Nice.
So yeah, you cut down one of these orcs as he runs. The other one, unbruised, gets away and runs off into trackless Mirkwood. Cleona, it is your turn.
I have a question. If
Yes.
I wanted to drop a shield and pull out a different weapon, how would that affect my combat?
We can assume that you switch whatever weapons as you are moving into forward stance, basically.
Okay.
There's no rules for actually switching weapons in this game, so it's sort of assumed you use whatever weapon it makes the most sense for you to be using, and you can switch pretty much for free.
Okay.
Also, one of the things about this system is that the combat rounds, rather than being like 6 seconds, are actually more like 30 seconds, and they involve a lot of feinting and kind of striking back and forth before putting all of your effort into one deadly strike. so there's a lot more time to switch between your bow and your axe or anything like that.
So as she's moving into forward stance and seeing Finder like drive off 2 of them and cut one down, she gets a surge of confidence, and just as she's walking towards the one that's her target, she drops her shield and pulls out a dagger in her offhand. So she's using her big axe and the dagger, and she just makes a 2-weapon attack against him.
Excellent.
The rules for that are on the Venture Guide, I think, page 108 if you want to look at it. But,
Yes, I will.
but basically, it's going to lower my to hit me by 4 because of the encumbrance for the weapons I'm using. But I get to make 2 attacks.
2 attacks. Yes.
So my Great Forest Axe is going to be the main attack, and then the dagger is the offhand. Okay?
Yes.
And I'm
Excellent.
going against, what's his target? 6 plus his parry and shield.
His parry and shield is 4.
So
target number 10.
Okay. Hopefully I can do this. When I go for the dagger attack, I'm going to use one of my success dice.
Okay.
Alrighty.
All right. So you do
9 damage for the Great Forest Axe. And then the dagger. And how do I add the extra d6 to this one?
you just roll it and then roll 1d6 and
Okay.
we calculate it out ourselves.
So target 10. And then, well, I hit it, but
Yeah. But to see if you get a 6 because that's special.
Okay.
No. But that's fine. So how do you cut down this orc?
So the dagger does 3 damage. So she basically just like winds up her axe over the back of her head and like down towards his clavicle. And as it hits him and he tries to jerk it out, she just goes for his heart underneath his rib with the dagger and then pulls it out.
Excellent.
Cool.
And
All right.
She's those filthy orcs.
Perhaps the least martial member of our company, Rufus. It's your turn.
All right, I'm going to use my short sword and shank him.
So it'll be
Yeah. What's my target number?
target number 14 because he has a parry of 2 and you're in defensive for 12.
Let's see what happens. That's not very good.
Oh,
Oh, and I rolled a Sauron.
You did roll a Sauron. So what that means, you don't hit this orc. And in fact, one of the 2 orcs that was fighting the woodsman over here looks up and sees you stumble as you try to strike out and decides that you guys might be easier pickings and runs forward. Finder or Cleona, you can move in between Rufus and this orc if you would like to.
Yes.
Yeah, Cleona's kind of in the battle lust right now, so she doesn't notice it. So I'll let Finder take him.
So Finder,
Yeah.
you're paired up against an orc.
Where do you
now.
think you're going?
Excellent. And Orfin, you get to take a shot. So it is 12 plus either 2 for the goblin or 4 for the orc.
Yeah, I reckon I'm just keeping my eye out, looking for a good shot. I feel as a warden, I think Rufus could do with a hand there. I'm going to take
I'd
aim on
use
this.
2 if you haven't to spare.
I would have difficulty firing my bow,
Boy.
which is
Fair
what I'm going to
point.
do now. Get this goblin straight between the eyes.
All right. Target number 14.
Nice.
Excellent.
Take that, ugly.
Don't bows do piercing on edged attacks? I don't, yeah.
Bows, all weapons do piercing on edge. Bows do piercing on called shots too.
Cool.
That's not quite good enough for an edge, but that's okay because Orfin, how do you kill this goblin?
I think where Rufus like lunges to shank him, just as he bends down, I send an arrow straight over, perfectly timed as he bends down, and it just kind of straight through the goblin's good eye into his brain, and he just sort of arms go up and drops straight back, flat out, like like he's steamrolled.
So Rufus looks up and
And he gets up. When he gets up,
he looks and he's. I thought I didn't hit him, but he went down. Come on, uglies! There's more than elves out here.
All right. So now all of the company have gone. So initiative passes to the enemy. So we'll make sure we know that this guy's gone. The woodsmen are still fighting with the one orc and the goblin archer. Finder, you are being attacked by an orc soldier. This is the moment
when
where
do I
Rufus
have to
could
say
step
that
in.
I'm going to intervene?
I think you have to say before I roll.
I'm going to do that because
All right.
I think he is flush with his feeling of success. Boom! And jumps. Finder, look out! So the target number will be
18.
yes.
Yes, and he, the orc swings wide, and you easily sort of duck under. Perhaps he was expecting a man-sized opponent and found a hobbit-sized one instead.
Too tall, ugly.
All right,
Awesome.
so now it is your guys' turn again. Cleona, if you want to rush in to help the woodsman, I can give you one of these orc soldiers to fight.
Oh yeah, she's definitely gonna go because that one's engaged with Finder.
Okay, Finder. So Rufus, you can attack the goblin archer, or you can use rearward because there aren't very many enemies left. You could shoot with your bow at the goblin archer if you'd like.
I think you might want to show me a little bit more respect and refer to me by my future title, Rufus Goblin Bane. And I'm taking on that goblin archer.
Zero goblins.
All right.
That's perfect.
Come on, ugly.
Okay, so once again, Finder, it's your turn first. It
Okay.
is.
So can I use my intimidate again from my words revealed, or has only once?
If you use your intimidate again, you will lose your attack this round. So
Because I
you
can
can
only
only
do that.
you can only do royalty revealed once. Royalty
Got it,
revealed
perfect.
lets you do intimidate and attack.
Yeah.
You could still intimidate if you want to use your battle to try to drive these creatures off.
No, that's okay. I think I'm better with my sword.
Yeah.
So about to add your black blood to the rest on this blade, and I strike. And what's his TN again?
Target number of 10.
10. Here we go.
He's got a bad temper, that
Oh,
race.
yes, that's right.
He's got anger issues.
That's right. He does.
Excellent. So,
doesn't not enough for the edge, but
not enough for the edge, but that is 7 damage for the long sword. Plus, you have the raging quality, so you do an extra 2 endurance damage
Right.
against orcs. So you another wicked strike doesn't quite kill this orc. He gets his buckler up just in time to take your sword on it, but you basically drive him to his knees as you smack into him with your sword. Cleona.
Cleona's going to do the same thing as she did last time. She's going to lunge towards the guy with a big forest axe and swing it, and then follow up with her dagger.
Excellent.
And she's going to use the success dice on her dagger roll because it's her lesser skill.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, he's going to die.
Gandalf rune.
Yep.
And the dagger, 10, and
Ooh, that's not good.
So, yeah, I don't think that one's going to work, but I
That
do
one
have
doesn't hit.
my virtue wild onset and forward stance. My damage is based on my favored body. I don't know if that matters, but
That does not matter for this because you didn't get a great or extraordinary success.
well, my damage is 9 for my great axe. Or
9 for your great axe, and
And
he
I got
has to
Gandalf
roll
rune, right? So
Yeah, Gandalf
injury
rune.
of 20 is what he has to hit.
injury of 20 against this orc soldier. So
That's a really you die.
almost, but
No.
you have cut him down.
He got the Sauron eye. Doesn't that mean he's
Saurons don't do automatic success for
Ooh.
adversaries. Saurons are just worth 10.
So I basically I go to lead with my dagger this time, and he bats it away. But I follow it up with a huge overhand downwards into his skull and split it with the axe. What I think
Excellent.
it'll come out to be. And
Another orc down.
She'll throw her head back and just scream out into the forest. Probably
Rufus.
shouldn't do that, but
Awesome.
Rufus, you'll be the third one down today, my friend.
All right,
It's,
TN 14.
14
Yes.
to hit him. This is how it's done, me friends. That's not how it's done.
Another miss.
Well, I can spend a point of hope and add me favored because I am favored in short swords, and that would
Excellent.
make it a total of 18.
That is enough to hit. And your damage is 5, so you do 5 points of endurance damage to this goblin archer.
Take that, goblin.
Awesome.
Orfin, it's your turn.
And I will aid Rufus in his banery and unleash. So 14, wasn't it?
Yeah, 14.
Oh,
Wow.
So how do you, in an incredible and jaw-dropping moment of combat, kill this orc?
You can see now. I've made his head explode. Oh my god!
I think you see. I'm sort of like ducking and weaving left and right, trying to get a clear shot, and then I do like some sort of tumbling maneuver through the undergrowth, and then pop up real close, flanking the goblin, and then the shot takes him off his feet and like pins his head to a tree, and he's just left there with his limbs kind of twitching, and then the arrow snaps and he falls to the floor.
you got him.
Awesome.
Excellent. Yeah. All right, so one orc left. The woodmen are going to charge forward, and they're going to drive off this last orc, who is cut down as he turns to run. And now you have defeated the first party of orcs, the first combat for the One Ring.
Excellent.
Kind of like whips around, her eyes going red just from the battle rush, and she's looking for an enemy.
I feel like I'm quite the natural for this.
I'll just sort of grin and raise my eyebrow at Rufus and just kind of nod. Not bad, little fellow. Not bad.
I'm going to clean my blade off on the rags that these orcs are wearing. Let's get the blood off it.
Are these things normally around here?
Unfortunately, all too often.
Oh, I don't know why none of you didn't think of telling me that we'd be finding these out here. I spent all my time looking up for spiders.
Oh, there could be those as well.
So spiders up above, tracks down below, and orcs all around.
That's
I
about the
don't know how
size of
you
it.
live here, Orfir.
Cleona looks at Rufus and is like, how about you keep looking low and we'll look up high?
Oh, I'll be keeping one eye up, one eye down, and my feet clean on the ground.
And you go cross-eyed doing that.
You have impressive battle skills.
Oh, I think
Master
one of
Rufus.
them woodsmen's hurt.
One of the woodsmen is hurt, so Amalric comes over to you and says, "My brother Ivoric is wounded. We need to get him back to Rhosgobel. Can you help?"
Can I take a look at him and just see if there's anything I can do? I have healing as one of my favorite skills.
I do as well.
Yes, you can
So
try a healing roll at TN 14.
Can I use me? I've got herb lore. Can I use that to find some, not Athelas, but something like that?
There are alternate rules for things like that, but I haven't read them yet.
All right.
I'm going to
Not right
assist.
now.
I'm going to assist with the healing roll because I have that as a favorite skill as well.
So, and I can I can spend a point of hope to bump that up to
You can.
19.
Okay.
That's
Excellent.
my favorite. So I will do that.
Is there a mechanism for those two to like work together? Is that a thing?
No. So basically, what they can do is they can. Normally, you would only be able to make one test per wound. Because this is an NPC, I'm fine with making essentially everybody takes a test who would like to take a test. We're at a kind of interesting pausing point. How about we pause here and everybody who needs to take a break, and we will come back with us walking into Rhosgobel, helping Ivoric along as he limps with his wound.
Sure.
Okay.
Don't forget
Perfect.
that deer, though.
Okay.
That's a good point.
You don't want to leave it for the spiders.
Okay, one of you can carry the deer too.
I'll carry the deer. I'm quite stout.
All right, 5 minutes. Be right back.
Excellent.
This is rather fun.
Yeah, this is good. I'm enjoying it. Combat took a little longer than it did in my test ones when it's just me.
Well, yeah.
But I like it.
You kind of more know about it than everybody else. You had to teach everybody else how to do it.
Well, yeah. No, but specifically, I ran through a couple of test ones to try to figure it out, and it's interesting running it for you guys versus me doing it just by myself.
I'm
But it's good.
Quite pleased with how Cleona did in the battle, even though I missed.
Yeah.
Oh, she's going to get her spear and shield again. She needs those.
So, Jonathan, man, how do you know Arlen?
Interesting enough, we're both playing characters in Kevin's Iron Gods campaign.
Oh, okay.
I'm playing Kyrus the Barbarian. He's a skald.
Okay.
And he's playing an android slayer. So he sent me an invite. I was like, well, I don't know anything about this game, but sure, I'll give it a shot. And my wife loves Lord of the Rings, and I got a passing interest because I read the books and whatnot.
We've had someone in chat say that you must be from abroad because your accent's a little too good.
Mine?
Yours.
I've spent the past 45 years honing it.
Honing it now, yeah.
And anyway, I'm not from abroad. You lot are from abroad.
Yeah, I'm on the far side of the pond.
English showing. Oh my god.
I border the Pacific Ocean, so I'm way over.
So all the way over. Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Yeah, we've got quite the stretch between Colin. So our geographic footprint is pretty serious right now with me down in Texas and Colin in the UK and Jonathan up in the Pacific Northwest and George, you're in California, right?
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Yeah, I'm in Oregon, so I'm just So
my
50 minutes.
my Western Lands campaign that I'm running for BFRPG, I'm using all the West Coast, Oregon scenery, the shots and that for my campaign because it just sort of captures what I'm going for.
Yeah, the west side of Oregon's nice and lush and green, but if you go over the mountains, it's desert.
Yeah, wow.
Not too much, but there's a good area.
I'll have to bear that in mind because maybe the characters could do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's one of the nice things about Southern Oregon and Northern California is there's so many microclimates.
Actually, I live in sort of a microclimate myself. That's why I was able to run out and mow the lawn because we had like 3-hour window of not raining. I'm like, really? Well, I was testing out my new electric lawnmower. So.
Nice.
Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, I got an electric lawnmower. Is it a battery one, yeah?
Yeah, it's a Ryobi. It's a lithium battery.
Yeah.
So it's got just enough charge to mow my lawn. So, and I got 2 batteries just because I got a weed whacker too.
Uh-huh.
I had a Black Friday spring sale, and I was like, I got a bonus check. Let's go buy some toys. Yeah.
So we're on the correct side. Excellent. I'm glad the shift ping functionality is good for this big long map. I can move you guys around. All right. So
is that Finder good at hunting? Or I'm trying to figure out.
He's got 2. He's got a 2.
Because I've got my favorite skills are all athletics with 2, healing with 2, and hunting with 3.
I'm good with travel. I have one of my favorite is travel.
I'm favored in travel too. And riddle.
So I will opt.
I'm also favored in explore, so I can do that.
So yes, we're gonna the next stage of this is a journey.
Sharon, I didn't realize we were talking about roles.
Yeah. So you guys might have figured out this is for the journey system.
Right.
Which is another of these systems. There's 3 main systems in the One Ring: combat, journeys, and encounters. Journeys is the next one we're doing after we come to Rhosgobel. And so Amalric and 2 of the other woodsmen are carrying Evoric, who has a sort of gash in his side, but that has been at least partially patched up by Baranor. We should decide if we're going to call you Baranor or Finder, George, because
I think he would want to be called Finder because he doesn't want to be outed as a Dunedain.
And
Okay.
Fiona will slip up immediately if she
Yes.
does that. So.
Yeah.
All right.
As we're walking back to the village, bear in mind that Orfin is doing that thing where he walks at the back, walking backwards every now and then, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So he follows along the line, but every now and then he spends, 20 or 30 feet walking backwards, just checking that we're not being followed and stuff.
And in fact,
in a role to which I'm uniquely unsuited. My explorer is a favorite, but I only have a 1 in it.
Perhaps we should switch places, Master Burrows.
I'm not particularly good at hunting either.
No travel. I was.
Or awareness. I've got 2 in travel.
Yeah, perhaps we should change roles.
Well, I mean, he's so short, you could always look over his
I might,
head, make sure he's doing the right thing. So.
if we're being a little bit min-maxy, I might leave the Dunedain in travel because the guide is the most important role and has the most
being left in the hands of a cider swilling hobbit.
So let's refresh ourselves. Rhosgobel, like this, with this lovely hedge around it. As you walk in, you get to the sort of green area and find that, in fact, a number of the hunting parties have come back, bruised and battered, a few with wounds like Ivorix. And there's a sort of general murmur about orcs and goblins in the Mirkwood. And as you walk in, out from his abode comes striding Radagast himself, as if he were waiting for you.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, Radagast.
He directs you to bring Ivoric into the Great Hall, where he will lay his hands on him and improve upon Finder's already helpful binding of his wounds. And then it is time to talk to Radagast. So he turns to the group of you and says, "What happened out there?"
The huntsmen were besieged by orcs and goblins. We came out of the wood while we were on the hunt. We ran to their aid and tried to do what we could, but unfortunately, we couldn't prevent him from being injured.
And Radagast sort of looks down and he strokes his beard. And do I have a handout for Radagast? I do. Look at that. I can show you guys Radagast.
Cool.
Minus the bird poop?
No bird poop on this version.
Nice.
At least not yet.
You know what I just noticed is that I'm just like the Peter Jackson films. I'm using forced perspective for my height.
You
I'm an
are.
oversized. Sorry.
No, it's good.
That's great.
Notice why is my head so small?
Radagast strokes his beard, and perhaps he even pulls out his pipe and lights it and begins to smoke and think for a moment and says, This is very troubling.
I take it this is not usual then.
No, or at least it hasn't been. After the battle of the 5 armies, many of the goblins and orcs in Wilderland were killed or at least driven from the field back into their holes in places like Gundabad. But if they're here, they likely came. Gundabad was once a dwarf fortress that is now owned by the orcs.
Is that up north then?
It is.
Oh.
And you might even know about Mount Graham, which is another place that orcs are from. And he says the Gundabad orcs have a sort of rivalry with the orcs of Mount Graham to see who can kill more dwarves or hobbits.
Ooh, so he was a favorite target. Good thing you stayed in the back, Rufus.
Well, these were Gundabad orcs, not Mount Graham orcs. But yes.
Wait, these things came all the way down from up near the
Woodland.
It is far, and it speaks to the weakness of the free peoples throughout the Wilder land.
Oy.
And what he says, so he tells you it's unusual to see this many, and it's really, how about everybody rolls me riddle at TN14 to see what you can gather.
Now you're talking my language.
From his somewhat back and forth. He speaks in sort of short fragments, and it is hard to piece together precisely what he means.
What's the target number?
14.
14. Oh, it's beyond me.
You want to use hope for it?
Anybody? I do.
I could make it if I did, but I'm not really that.
It's favored for me as well. That would make it a 16.
Excellent. Nice. So, Rufus, what you were able to piece together
is that he's clever, but he's not as clever as old Pappy Burrows.
Yeah, I didn't want to think that hard, so she didn't try.
Guns are as sharp as my knife.
Radagast is deeply troubled by the fact that not only was your group attacked, but it seems that many of the groups were attacked, which suggests that these orcs are numerous and organized, and they had not expected this, especially so quickly after the Battle of the Five Armies. And he has some concern about the possibility that there are things moving in the Northlands that might have driven orcs in this direction.
Cleona says that's what she came to warn him about. But nobody listens.
And then Radagast turns to Orfin and says, Orfin, your king must be warned, and we need his support. Please, lead your companions on a mission to Thranduil's realm.
Are we going north then?
As you wish, my lord.
It sounds like it.
All right.
So let us go back to the Wilderland map, and we can look at the path that we're going to take. So, the best path, Orfin, that you know, is to go here from Rhosgobel through this area. Does it show up live, or do I have to let go for it to show up?
Oh, we see the line.
I can see a red line.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep, up through the eaves of Mirkwood, around here, crossing the old forest road, and then up through the Vale of Anduin to the forest gate, then along the elf path in Thranduil's realm, over and across to the Elven King's halls.
Mm-hmm.
Before we go, can I be sure that someone's going to tend my trees?
Sure. You can, perhaps I suspect that Rufus is popular with the youngins in Rhosgobel because he's about their size.
Right. I'll make sure some of them kids keep their eyes on it. Make sure that we've got, when they're saplings, they're most vulnerable. Plus, it might keep their, if all their parents are under threat by orcs, this will give them something else to worry about.
So,
Nice.
is there anything you would like to do to prepare for the journey?
Apart from
mechanically, there's nothing that you need to do. Radagast will provide enough rations for a few days. Unfortunately, it is hard to carry enough rations to make long journeys just on food, hence the requirement to have a huntsman who is able to support the party's rations. Radagast can also tell you that this route that Orfin knows about and that expects to be the best way is definitely the easiest way to get back to Thranduil's realm. You could hypothetically go over and follow the river Anduin up north instead of traveling through the eaves of Mirkwood. Radagast is concerned that out in the open, you will be easier to be attacked if the orcs are gathering in strength. And that secrecy will be helpful to your quest.
Yeah, it sounds like wise counsel.
Agreed.
He is certainly one of the wise.
I favour this route myself.
The only thing I can think Cleona would want to do is to add to the number of her tattoos, like to commemorate killing those two orcs. So
All right.
Probably going to get a dot or something added to one of her tattoos to symbolize her slaying of the orcs.
Are you in a gang?
Cleona looks at Rufus and says, I was raised amongst the raiders of the hills, and death and murder were all I knew until I saw the shadow and came down below to protect those against him.
Oh, you're the right fright then. Good to have us with you.
She shrugs her shoulders. She doesn't talk much about it.
Excellent. So we have already sorted out roles for the travel. There's the guide, the huntsman, the scout, and the lookout man. Hypothetically, if you had more members of the party, you could have more huntsmen, more scouts, more lookout men. You can only ever have one guide. So the way this is going to work is that based on your chosen path and the difficulty of the terrain and things like that, we're going to make some travel rolls. If anybody rolls an Eye of Sauron
At the beginning, an embarkment roll?
yes, there's a lore roll to represent your knowledge of the area. And this works basically the way that rolling battle at the beginning of the combat did. You get extra success die based on your lore roll. So everybody make a lore roll at TN 14.
There we
No way I'm
go.
going to make it.
Oh, so close.
So close.
Rufus has to contribute.
Against 14?
Against
Yeah.
14.
She's not around here, so
Ooh.
her lore of the area is not going to be that great.
So unsurprisingly, Orfin is easily the most knowledgeable about this route because remember, he is a Mirkwood elf and this is his homeland. He is returning home to Thranduil's realm. So Orfin, you will get 2 extra success die to use on the journey rolls. Finder, you, because you succeeded, but with an ordinary success, you will get 1 extra success die.
Okay, great.
And
And
when
when do you? Oh, sorry, I was wondering when you apply that success before or after a roll, or how?
You do it before a roll.
Okay.
You can only use 1 on any given roll. And that's,
Got it. Cool.
you can use it for anything on the journey, though, basically.
Right.
So it's not just for your particular task assignment kind of thing. So my roles are not necessarily in my capacity as lookout.
So the way this works is that everybody makes travel rolls. If any Eyes of Sauron come up, then there are special hazards. In the hazards, companions in different roles are challenged based on something basically going not quite according to plan.
Yeah. And that's when you'd spend your extra.
That's generally when you would want to spend your success die. Also, I forgot to mention, you can give success die to other players if you would like.
Oh, okay. I see.
Freely. You have to do it before the roll. But and players, you can't take a success die, obviously. You have to ask.
Right.
Well,
There's
there's special rules. So one of the things it doesn't really concern us because nobody's going to get enough shadow to become miserable in the one shot. But one of the special rules is that you can use fellowship points to regain hope. If the party agrees to let you take a fellowship point to regain hope, then you get it back just fine. If the party does not agree, you can take a fellowship point to regain hope anyway and gain a temporary shadow point in addition.
Huh.
So there are certain things where you can go against the will of the party and have a penalty.
Well,
And you'll be happy to know that every hobbit you bring along with you increases the fellowship pool by 1.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
as it should.
That's good because Cleona's special blessing is if anything would knock her down to 0 endurance or make her weary, she can take on a shadow point in order to ignore it.
Yes.
So she might be the source of the shadow in the party if things get bad.
She is a Dunlending, so.
Mm-hmm.
She's a reformed Dunlending. She wants to be a warden. She's a warden.
Yes.
She still has that to her.
So we have our rolls. Everyone is going to make a first travel roll at TN 14.
14. Let's see how we do.
Ooh.
Come on.
Oh no.
Oh, that's how it's done.
It's just bowling
So,
along,
We should
whistling
be
a
following
melody
him.
That's a big
You
one.
ought to have put Rufus in the front, but that's
Yeah,
okay.
apparently.
Some of my successes to help everyone else, can't I?
Let me double check. I believe that you can. Um,
A big stash of pocket handkerchiefs there.
Boy, I've got something for you.
I can make that if I spend a whole point.
You just need a small nip of old Pappy Burrows cider.
Okay, so
no, I can't.
no, unfortunately, this is not a situation where you can aid people in making the travel tests because of your great success. So,
what can I do with that then?
You have a spring in your step as you walk along through the eaves of Mirkwood. You're keeping everybody's spirits up.
I'm going to opt to use the whole point to make that check. So
to make that check. All right.
Yeah.
Anyone who didn't make that check, you will add 2 points to your travel fatigue.
Ooh.
And 2 points. So basically, when you fail to make a travel check on a journey, you add the encumbrance rating of your traveling gear. Because we are traveling in the spring, it's 2.
It's not worth it then. I'll just take it.
Yeah. It's not a big deal to lose. It is a big deal that Finder rolled an Eye of Sauron.
Yes.
Which means that we're going to get a hazard. So this is why I asked if you could hear when I roll dice.
Yes. Don't worry, gang. I'll spot it before it falls upon us. Whatever.
The Huntsman.
You will.
Oh, it's the Huntsman.
The Huntsman. And what is the hazard? Fatigue.
Oh.
Oh no. So, Cleona, you find yourself one day further afield than you expected while hunting and are having trouble figuring out exactly where the group has gone. You will have to use your hunting skill against a TN of 14 in order to not add more fatigue. Could
I invoke my specialty tracking to track my way back?
Sure. That's a great use of tracking.
I follow my own footsteps back. But I'm not sure what that does, but I do that. So it's 14?
Yes. So that's an automatic success.
Oh, invoking a specialty?
Yeah, for invoking a trait, what you can do is you can get an automatic success, or you can, if we were playing a longer campaign, you could use it to get an advancement point based on your roll. Essentially representing your character using their accumulated knowledge to further themselves. But no, you're just fine. So you do not add any extra fatigue.
Okay.
You rejoin with the party, having wandered off a little longer than usual. But aside from that, everyone is all right.
Excellent.
Excellent.
All right.
I don't want to enjoy the show unless I have to.
Now we do a travel roll again at TN 14.
Let's see.
I'm not made for travel.
Come on, do it for Pappy Burrows.
Okay.
That's better, Finder. I told you, one step, then another step.
I should listen to you more often.
Well, if I call him, made it.
Excellent. So Cleona is the only one who is feeling the weight of the traveling gear. So you will add 2 more fatigue to your travel fatigue, Cleona. Everyone else is feeling, I don't know. How are you keeping your spirits up walking through the eaves of Mirkwood? Why don't you tell me?
Well, Orfin has been good enough to share some of his songs, but you need to learn a couple of the songs from the Shire.
Are you going to sing one for us?
I'm not.
Okay. I was worried I was going to have to take away hope.
I will accompany.
That would be a Fall of the Shadow, I think.
That's right.
I'll accompany Rufus in his songs. Once I get the drift of the melody, I will accompany him on the harp.
I try to share as many of the songs that I know about the elves that the hobbits have.
Excellent.
I'll tell some tales of men of the West who were able to defeat the shadow throughout history.
Cleona, she's going to use her craft skill to start making a small cloak for the hobbit with the skins of the animals they find. And that she's going to piece it together as she walks.
Cool.
Oh. Is that a surprise for him? Lovely.
She does have a bit of maternal instinct, and he is kind of short. So
I am short only compared to some.
So, as you travel on, one of the things that happens is you gradually feel a sort of weight lifting from your shoulders as you pass from the borderlands of the Eves of Mirkwood into the free lands ruled by the Beornings under their chief Beorn himself. These are kept.
Who are these?
The Beornings, so Chief Beorn has a house and has accumulated a whole number of menfolk who have decided to follow his guidance and do their best to keep this area safe from goblins and other nasty creatures.
Are these your people, Cleona?
no, they're more like an adopted home. I come from the Vales of the Misty Mountains where the Dunlanders live.
Oh, Finder, are they your people?
No, not exactly. They're their own people.
Oh, there's a lot of men who live in these woods.
That's true.
There are for now.
There is for now.
They are wild men, so be careful.
Yes.
I've had to
So,
practice a little bit of.
And Bjorn is a skin changer.
Beorn is a skin changer. There
Oh,
are
what?
rumors that he goes around in the form of a bear at times.
Should I be wearing this cloak then?
I didn't make it a habit.
Ooh, he won't take offense.
I think you'll be okay.
All right.
When he finds out that your name is Goblin Bane, that'll stand you in good stead, I feel.
Yellow Goblin? She looks around.
Right. Too right then.
Excellent. So, travel checks again. TN12 this time.
Here we go.
Oh, she's getting exhausted.
12. Oh, I've been
And for the rough and tumble, not the travel.
to this.
This is a favorite skill for me. I'm gonna use some hope.
Finder, no, you're okay. You rolled. You got.
Oh,
12.
sorry, first 12. Yep, sorry.
Orfin, do you not want to see your dad?
Do I know what? Sorry?
You not want to see your dad?
It's not my dad, sir. The king, Thranduil, is certainly not my father. I wouldn't be scratching around in the woods if he was.
Are you? Now, what is it that's keeping you down? These are your woods, aren't they?
Well, yes, but it saddens me to see them in this this dark state.
Right. I understand that.
Yes.
Excuse me. Okay, so once again, Cleona and Orfin, you will add to your travel fatigue. Excuse me. And we're going to make our final travel roll for traveling through the Beornings land, once again at TN 12.
We're not stopping to meet that bear man.
No, it's time is of importance.
Oh, thank goodness.
I see.
So
Excellent.
Cleon is, you can see that the travel's wearing on her, but she set her jaw in fierce determination and just starts marching on. She really doesn't like to travel.
Oh.
Really wearing on you.
Orfin,
Dark
I
state.
know these guys like the back of the end, though I've never traveled.
I'm gonna start examining myself for signs of a fragment of Morgul blade.
well, I think what's happening since you're the lookout man is probably that you have offered to spend much more time on watch than anyone else, and it is wearying to you more than you expected at the beginning of this journey.
I normally travel alone, and the extra responsibility of these outlanders is kind of a bit triggering or something like that. Maybe.
Stories after a few miles do get a wee bit weary. Yes, my friend, you told me about your pappy. Yes, my friend, you offered me cider.
Perhaps that's my mistake. Perhaps I'm not getting enough cider down me. That's what it is.
That could.
All right. Where does this
So-
bring us then?
So now, let's go back to the map to look at it. We are come to the forest gate. And do I have the forest gate? I don't have, unfortunately, the forest gate. But I do have the next stage, which is as you move onto the elf path and into the domain of the Elven King, it's only a day or two before Orfin, you have a sense that there are others around you. And soon enough, you're stopped along the path by an elf carrying a short bow and wearing one of the cloaks of your people, Orfin, who says, "Halt, please."
Is that
No,
in the language you understand, or only the Elvish language?
This is in, he says it first in Sindarin, and then if it is unclear whether you understand, he says it in Westerness also.
I'll answer him in Sindarin and back it up with some of the old, like even older language before that, the old Woodland language. As I kind of come up from the back of the group or whatever, he clearly didn't realise I was there.
Yes. It says,
Well met,
one of my
brother.
own kin. It warms my heart to see you.
Indeed. And how is the path ahead?
The path ahead. In fact, the path ahead is occupied.
How so?
An envoy of the Elven King is at camp just a day or two hence. There's no travel along the elf path for now by order of the Elven King himself.
We are on our mission. We've been Radagast has beseeched us to seek Thranduil's aid in a matter of some urgency. Can we get word to the Elven King?
Radagast the Brown seeks Thranduil's aid.
The shadow is growing in strength to the south. We believe something has caused this.
Foignert, can you understand what they're saying?
I can. Orfin is explaining our mission to the elf.
Yeah, Clara kind of like leans in and listens because she doesn't understand it either.
Yeah, I whisper to both of them what's happening. I roughly translate.
That's not the Elven King.
No, you will know him when you see him, if you see him.
So this.
What is ore? What is ore? I know what ore is, but in the context of this game,
Awe is your kind of
gravitas.
Yes, it is very much your gravitas. It's so that scene in the Two Towers when Aragorn comes back to Helm's Deep and he pushes open the doors and it's, the music is rising as he walks in. That is awe.
Okay. So at this point, where I was previously hooded, I think I will put my hood back and elevate myself. And please, fellow, we cannot tarry here. You need to give this some urgent consideration. We need to be let pass. It is a matter of great urgency. I insist.
All right, give me an awe roll. It'll be TN 12 because he is
Okay.
one of your fellows.
Okay.
Nice.
Excellent. So he pauses for a moment and says, "Please come with me. I can't take you to the Elven King's halls, but I can take you to his envoy." And he about faces and starts almost somewhere between a walk and a jog down the path. The sort of long strides of the elves carry him along quickly. And in fact, it isn't more than an hour or two before you come to the forest citadel, which is this. A sort of path through Mirkwood and something of an outpost of the kin of the elven kind.
Murmurs to the if anybody listens. That she's like, I think the wood from my axe came from a place like this.
Orfin, you didn't tell me that elves live in holes too.
That's pretty
They
cool.
Live in elms.
Yes.
So, you are brought in, ushered into the presence of the envoy, and in fact, everyone is going to make, I believe it's insight. An insight roll. For most of you, it will be TN 14. For Orfin, it will be TN 10.
All right. Nope.
Is this for protocol?
This is not quite. We're going to do that next.
Oh, okay.
I think I'm looking at the old. Look at this design.
Get yourself one of them funky triangle doors and be the envy of all your neighbours. Oh,
So, surprisingly, it is not Orfin who realizes who this envoy is. It is Cleona, who somehow is more attuned to the presence of regality and realizes that this is not just some envoy of Thranduil. This is the king himself.
Probably the sense she gets from her axe, because it is made of a great tree from way back in the ages. So she's got a link to it. She inclines her head and shows a sign of respect. She doesn't speak unless she's spoken.
So this is an encounter. The way encounters work is that there is a tolerance rating. The tolerance rating determines how many conversation style roles you can fail before the person that you're talking to is no longer willing to offer you anything or anything like that. The tolerance rating for this encounter will be 3 because it's the highest valor or wisdom of the party, which is 2 because everybody's at 2 valor and 2 wisdom, plus 1 because Radagast sent you. So first what we do is we roll insight against TN 14, and that's to gain bonus success die, like we do with every other system. This will give you some insight into Thranduil's mind and his personage that may help you to introduce yourself or to speak to him. So insight against TN 14, once again.
All right.
ooh, yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes, once again.
Nope.
Nope. Is this another guard then? Who's this guy?
No, this is the king.
King.
Mind your manners.
Is this your king, Orfin?
It is.
So
Shouldn't you be kneeling then?
Presently, I will.
Aye. Should we kneel too? Finder.
I think that we should bow and act appropriately.
All right. I'll get down on my knees.
I'll bow.
Cleon is a tad too proud to bow before any person, but she will give kind of a curtsy bow of her head and remain silent in his presence for the moment.
Why isn't Cleona kneeling?
She's a dwarf and makes her own choices.
Is she a dwarf?
That's what he said.
So, Orfin and Cleona, both of you get 2 dice because you got great successes because you rolled 6s. So now what you need to decide is how you want to approach Thranduil, whether you would like one person to speak for the whole party or you would like each party member to introduce themselves to him.
I mean, I think I would. My preference would be that Orfin is the one who entreats with the king of the elves.
Yeah, Cleona's of the same mind. She doesn't want to talk to him unless she's directly asked a question. It's just
Okay.
way above her head.
Rufus does have a 3 in courtesy.
I'm going to grant him my bonus dice if
That's
I
interesting.
can.
I also have 3 in persuade.
I feel
That's pretty good.
I think that Finder, I think your counsel is wise, but I do sense some talent in this hobbit. He is quite personable, and I believe perhaps Thranduil would be keen to meet someone from the Shire, as I suspect he doesn't see too many hobbits in these parts.
I see. You know your king far better than I, so.
All right. And I'll get up and I'll adjust my breeches, clean myself off, dust my
That's
lucky
it.
armor,
That's it. I'll brush you down a little bit, dust off,
adjust my new cloak.
straighten your tie.
Do I look good for a king then?
You'll be fine.
All right. Now, how do we do this then?
All right. So what we do,
Just follow
I
me.
assume that you're going to roll courtesy to introduce yourself in an appropriate way.
Of course. Happy
yes.
Burrows didn't raise any rude hobbits.
So roll courtesy against TN 14.
14. Let's see how we do.
Yes.
That's not very good. Hello, you fucker.
Um,
Can I give him a bonus die?
So you're the Goblin
not
King then.
afterwards. So Thranduil looks down at Rufus and says, "We had a thief like you come through our halls one
Shit, I
time."
forgot about him.
A thief, you say? Who is that then?
By the name of Baggins.
Baggins. I don't know. Oh. He's the one that wrote that red book. You're the king in the red book. Oh. I can see why you'd be upset then. But I thought that you got along with him afterwards. You came to
I
help at
did.
that battle, didn't you?
He was more courteous than you are.
Ah.
And
Forgive
so
me,
the
Mr.
effect
King.
of this,
I have not. I have very little to offer you, and only because I have very little to offer. But what I can give you is what I prize most, and I'll bow over and I'll come up with a shiny new apple.
Thranduil will gesture to one of his attendants to come over and take it from you and hand it to him. And he looks at it for a moment and says,
No offense meant, me king, but that may not be the best that you've ever seen, but it's the best that we at the Burrows farm can offer. He bows a little uncomfortably and looks back at his colleagues. I think it's going well.
Thranduil looks at it and he says, "You hobbits truly do love things that grow, don't you?"
We do, my king. That's actually, it's a funny reason you bring that up. That's actually the reason I want to see Radagast. We've been having troubles with our apples. We were hoping he might help. But my friend, Orfin over there, told me not to bring it up to you, that you had more pressing things, being a grand man and all.
We do have pressing things. So mechanically what has happened is that you have had one failure of your potential 3. But that was great role playing. So Rufus is still allowed to be the spokesman if he would like to be.
Nice. Nice.
I'm not being thrown in a barrel.
Yeah, I've got every confidence in him. He made a good comeback. Can I bung him a dice to assist him in his next?
You can. So if he's the spokesman, you ought to just give him all of your dice, basically.
Okay, yeah.
Because you guys aren't going to talk unless you want to introduce yourselves separately. If you introduce yourself, you have to make a roll to introduce yourself. If you fail, it takes away from your potential successes again.
I'm pretty sure Hey You Fucker would be the best I could do.
Yeah.
Right.
Now,
Yeah, and I fear that I've spent a little bit too long alone in the woods, stalking the shadow. I think Rufus is much more personable.
Yeah.
now, do I need to
Agree.
make another courtesy roll, or can I move on to persuade now?
So you can do a number of things. So you can make a courtesy roll to try to ingratiate yourself with him again, to get on, start off on better footing again.
I'll try that then. I'll get on my knees because I saw my friends do that, and we'll say, "Great King, I'm not one for such courts. Such grandeur is clearly something beyond my experience. But what I have seen is the people that live under Radagast's care have had a great shadow fall over them. And my colleagues, my friend Finder there, he came here to protect them. My friend Orfin, he went down there to protect them as well. And Cleona, the quiet one back there, she came to also protect them too. I'm the only fool who came looking only for my own things. But what Radagast has asked is that we help those people, and we have very little to offer to help with that. And he'd asked that you might prepare, like we are helping each other, that you might come down and help us as well, in some small way. I know that you're a grand man, and you no doubt have problems up here as well, but my friend Finder told me that the only reason that you all succeeded at that battle was by working together.
All right. Roll me courtesy against TN14.
Bonus dice.
Bonus dice.
And use it.
Yeah.
You can use it bonus dice if you'd like.
25.
Excellent.
Nice.
So you
Woo!
have succeeded after your earlier misstep. That is not a great or an extraordinary success, so it only counts as one successful roll, but it is your one successful roll. And I can tell you, you have talked to him about needing to support Radagast and the people of Rhosgobel, and that is basically part of how the outcome will be decided. So that it's good that you brought that up early.
Right.
So he looks at you and says, "You have much better manners on your second introduction." And he grins a little bit and says, "But unfortunately, we are quite tasked with the shadow here."
I think what I'll do is try to persuade him. Pappy always
Excellent.
said I've got a tongue like cider. Well, Great King, I understand that you might have problems that are afflicting you up here, but my friends have told me, and it seems that what I've seen with my own eyes is that the shadow lies down there in the south of Mirkwood. And if we Burrows know anything, it's that you look to see when things aren't growing proper, to see what's afflicting the roots. And I think that if something down there is going to take hold, it will find its way up here eventually. Therefore, I think that if you're concerned about your people, as my friends are concerned about their people, and as Radagast is concerned about his people in Rhosgobel, perhaps it might serve your people by helping their people.
All right. Make me persuade at TN14. Persuade, TN14. Excellent. So that is a great success. So Thranduil,
Awesome.
yeah, with the extra die, that's a great success. Thranduil, you can see on his face that he is perhaps coming around to your point of view and feels like you have made a strong point. And he says, Unfortunately, that doesn't change the reality of the situation, my hobbit friend.
And what reality is that, my king?
Things are very difficult for us. The shadow presses from every direction, and we can only do so much.
Well, my king, you may have heard of the Burrows family cider, and that's something that we make quite. We've got a long lineage of those that make that, and we're quite proud of it. And the way that we make it is through adding, using our presses. I've heard tell that you make wine here, so I imagine you're familiar with such a process, being the learned man that you are. But what you know is, when you apply pressure, it comes out somewhere. Yes? And I think you'll find, if you talk to me friends who are much more learned in these ways, they'll tell you the extent of the pressure that they've been under, and the pressure that will be coming up here. You may be pressed on, as you say, but it seems in these dark times you must find where the most pressure might be coming from and set a strong shield against it. And I'll kind of gesture with my shield.
All right. Are you trying to persuade him?
I am.
That's what I figured. Do you want to roll against TN14 again?
I can roll stealth.
You can. Stealth isn't going to be that helpful, but some other things that are helpful. In addition to introducing yourself with courtesy, you can also introduce yourself with awe to demonstrate your kind of fortitude and your presence. He's not going to like it if you introduce yourself with riddle.
No, what I can mention is I'm trying to decide if I don't know if Rufus is not stupid, but I'm not sure that he would put two and two together, that the lineage of Finder might help our situation here.
Yes, that's one of the things that I was thinking about. And Finder, you are probably aware that, like many of the elven kind, Thranduil has seen many ages of the world past, and has some sense of the real depths of time that your people come out of. And
you know what? I'll add something in. So
I've got an idea as well.
Right. Oh, go ahead.
I'm really steeped in lore and elven lore, and could I sort of cast my mind back to some sort of like event or something that would ingratiate Finder with the Elven King, or perhaps even a link with the Shire, or just going back through the tales.
So I mean, I think I have an idea about what that could be.
I think automatic success is a little boring in this situation. So why don't you roll lore, and I'll make it TN10 for you, since you're so steeped in elven lore. Okay. Excellent. So that will be another successful roll.
He knows his history.
What do you tell to Finder?
What can I tell to him?
Well, you can tell him about a number of different things. George, did you have an idea?
I was thinking the last alliance of elves and men in the Second Age.
I think
that he could tell me
totally
about.
Appropriate. Would you like to introduce yourself,
Yes,
Finder?
I would. So I will step forward and bow and say, "Excuse me, Master Burrows. Great King Thranduil, I am Baranor, son of Baradel of the line of Radagast of Numenor. I am in awe to be in your presence. Forgive me, I am not used to such audiences, which is why I have not spoken until now. But the need is dire, and I know that your people have come to the aid of the free peoples in the past. Specifically, I recall the events of the last alliance of elves and men in the Second Age, in the Battle of Dargolad and the Siege of Barad-dûr, when our peoples joined together to fight off the shadow. And I see that you are dealing with the shadow yourselves, but perhaps if you could spare any small amount of your power to aid us, it may come back to aid you as well in the future.
It sounds to me more like courtesy or persuade than awe.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I was kind of doing more of a persuade.
Persuade. So yeah, why don't you do a persuade? It'll be TN 14, but if you succeed, you'll be able to upgrade it to a higher level if you revealed your lineage.
Right. Here we go. TN 14.
Oh, and wait. If you want an extra success die, you could ask for one from Rufus.
I think I've got one left.
Excellent. I will take it. So here we go. Oh Jesus.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Oh man.
9.
So 9. Oh, I could. Yeah. Well, I could. Yes, exactly. I could spend a hope die, and I have a 5 in wits.
And that would do it.
Yeah.
And that would do it.
There is hope.
So what do you dig down deep and find within yourself as you speak to Thranduil about this that he recognizes in you?
I think that I have a weariness in my voice from encountering the shadow directly, and it has weighed on me. So I become more emotional than I normally show. Is
Thranduil a Noldor?
I think he is not. I'm pretty sure. I will double check.
All right.
And so my ancestors have given their lives fighting the shadow. Nothing is too precious to give up, to throw off the shackles of the enemy. I know that you and your people feel the same way, and you've spent far more time in Arda doing the same. And if it weren't for you, all would have been lost long ago.
If he's not a Noldor, he's never seen Arda. Right?
Well,
No, Arda
I think
is
the whole
the planet.
Oh,
world.
it's what's the
Not
Undying Lands called?
Valinor.
Valinor.
Valinor, right?
So we are in grave need at the moment. We would not ask if it were not the case. We know how valuable your resources are.
So he looks. He has been reminded of much suffering and much war, and if he were a PC, I would probably call for him to make a corruption test as he thinks about just so much that has been lost. But he's not. So but that gives you an idea of what is going on. And he looks grim and his eyes set and he says, Dunedain, we did have an alliance once and perhaps we can help you. Do you have anything else to ask of me?
At this point, I sort of stagger forward and like prostrate myself. My hoodie back. I bow down. You can see my sort of tattered, weathered clothing, my blood splattered things, and I say, "And my king, as a warden of this realm, I beseech you, we need your assistance. I am but one holding back the shadow, a representative of our kind, the last wood elf, coming to the aid of Radagast. We need to win over the hearts and minds of these people so they can stand with us and restore the great Greenwood to its former glory. And you, my king, you can do this with the click of your fingers. We can rise up, and I'll lead these forces. I know what needs to be done.
So, that sounds to me most like inspire.
Well, I was going for awe.
Awe. I think awe would be acceptable there too.
Okay.
You definitely showed off your presence. However, I'm also going to make you take a corruption test because your the shadow reaches you through your lure of power.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
But in exchange, your difficulty will be lower, so it'll be awe at TN12 instead of 14.
Okay. So what order do I have to do that? I'll do the awe now. The awe.
So
first.
do the awe at TN12 first.
That looks like a hope possibility there.
That looks like a hope possibility to me.
I've got favoured in awe.
Yes, so you get +7 with hope, so that's plenty.
Okay. Yeah, I do that. Hope.
And how does that corruption test work?
Yep.
So the corruption test works by rolling same thing, roll a feat die and a number of success die. In this case, the success die number is determined by your wisdom. And so the little dice next to your wisdom, you can click that and it'll roll.
Oh, yeah. Quite. You can only just see that one.
Yeah.
And this is target number 12 again, or?
This is 14.
Oh,
this is a standard.
Okay.
Who's
Oh! Gandalf!
Excellent.
your intentions?
So not only
Awesome.
you resist the lure of the shadow, and he looks at you and sees that your heart is true, and that even if perhaps you might one day be lured by power, that you are one of the faithful of the free peoples. And he says, Orfin, you remind me of my duties to the free peoples of Middle-earth. And he stands up and he sort of looks around for a moment. Then he shouts, saddle my horse and gather my guards. We go to Rhosgobel.
Nice. Yes. That's awesome.
Yeah, and you can keep that apple.
Excellent.
I start
So,
clap.
on the journey back, the elves aid you on all your tests, so you don't have to make any travel rolls. You are just fine, and you are buoyed by the energy of the Elven King and his host as they march towards Rhosgobel.
Does that affect our travel fatigue?
You also get to recover some travel fatigue.
Okay.
When do we recover hope?
I think that's the
So you can recover hope. So we ought to have done it at the beginning, but you will have 5 fellowship points. You can use a fellowship point to recover 1 point of hope. You get 5 because there's 4 of you plus 1 for the hobbit.
Mm-hmm.
If everybody agrees that you're allowed to take a fellowship point, you get the point of hope back for free. If there is disagreement, you can still take it, but you get a point of shadow in addition.
Has everyone used a point of hope?
I have.
Yes.
Yeah.
Why don't we all take one and leave that last around?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Okay.
That puts me 1 less than my max, which is good.
Yeah, same here.
Oh, I'm 3 down.
I think the Hobbit gets it.
Yeah, maybe you should take 2. I mean, you brought the other one, you added the other one to the pool anyway.
Yeah.
I will not say no. Pappy says never leave behind an offered drink.
That's it.
I want to meet your pappy at some point.
He's quite lovely.
He sounds like it.
So once again,
You said
How
you're
much
heading.
travel? Sorry, how much travel fatigue do we recover, Arlen?
So you will recover.
'Cause I am fatigued.
2 endurance plus your basic heart rating for 1 night spent in the Elven King's encampment.
Oh,
Two
so
Okay.
okay.
So, Rufus has one big question. What's this travel fatigue that you keep talking about? He hasn't found this hard at all.
So
Been a lovely walk in the woods.
2 endurance plus heart. What you add them together makes 5.
What's your heart? 3? So
Yeah.
you get 5 travel fatigue
Back
reduced.
for a night's rest.
You're very resilient, Master Burrows.
Thank you, Finder. I take that as a great compliment.
It's intended to
So,
You're fairly sturdy yourself, too.
be. Well, thank
what's
you.
our schedule look like for the players?
It's okay for me. I'm good.
I'm okay. It's half 9 here. I'm all right.
I can play for somewhere between another half hour and an hour.
Okay.
I can go for about another half hour, too. About the dog come in twice.
Yeah, you had the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dog
Okay.
said, aren't you done yet?
Yeah.
Well
exactly.
then, let's try some.
What does a dog do if
homebrew
it comes
that I
in 3
found.
times? You get a crap on the carpet.
Yeah, there is no third time.
If I have to come in here a 3rd time, I'm going to take a steamer on your
Yeah.
carpet.
That's right.
We'll start hearing her on the stream is the problem.
Right.
She's quite vocal.
So,
can we take a quick moment then, just to
Yeah. refresh
our
our drinks
nose.
and use the washroom and all that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That sounds good.
Let's do that.
Perfect. Okay.
All right.
I'm still good. So
So we are going to use, John, I can tell you,
Oh.
I found some homebrew mythic battle rules. So there may be a battle coming up.
in
Very
I'm
exciting.
Not, or in this game,
In this game.
there's mythic rules for this. Nice.
Mythic battles is what the rules are called. They're not it's basically for trying to do large scale battles that aren't resolve 100 individual combats by themselves.
Gotcha.
Sort of the way that Tolkien himself narrates the big battles, right? Where there's sort of brief episodes of close quarters combat and then the sort of longer period of narrative time happening.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
I was really excited when I found them and I was like, oh, we have to try these.
Yeah. So as far as this being a one shot, is it going to be like just a few, or just like this one session, or is it going to be like a few sessions?
I think we're going to wrap it up within the next 30 minutes or so. And then, I don't know, I'm having a lot of fun. I hope you guys are having fun.
I enjoyed
it's
the
really
character
good.
that I created. So
Yeah, I would run the One Ring again, certainly. I might have to buy extra flowers for my girlfriend to convince her that it's okay, because it spent a lot of time. Well, it's going to be a lot of time playing RPGs today, and she's not as happy about that.
well, my wife's sleeping. She works nights, so
Yeah.
All right.
It's a really interesting system, though. I like this different sort of like different structures, isn't it? For
Yeah. Well, and I like it's got kind of a sort of consistent superstructure, because each pillar of the game sort of works in the same way, where you roll for your initial advantages and then you sort of set what you're trying to do and use your specific skill based on what you're trying to do. But I don't know. I think it's really evocative of the Lord of the Rings in particular, and the Hobbit, and the whole feel of everything. Like just the idea that we didn't use it in combat at all, but one of the maneuvers you can do if you're in open stance rather than forward, you can do rally comrades, and you can use your song skill to restore endurance to your fellows.
all right.
Which is great. That, bursting out just a little bit of your people's song to make everybody feel ready to fight.
I can see a dwarf doing that.
Colin, your reputation precedes you. We just had a Spike Pit call out in chat.
Yes. Get in. Who was that? Who's calling out the Spike Pit, man? Respect.
Radalk.
Who?
Radalk.
Radelk.
Yeah.
Wow, man. Big shout out to Radelk. Wow.
That's all I said too. Just Spike Pit.
Yeah.
So
This is an awesome game, though. I thought that
Yeah.
that negotiation with the Elf King with Thranduil, that was wicked.
Yeah.
Who would have thought, man? Who would have thought a little chat with the king would, you know,
Yeah.
you can't do that in D&D like that, can you?
no, you well, and
Unfortunately.
don't get me started on the way that they adapted these rules for 5th edition, but they
you know what?
turned that whole system into basically 2 roles.
To its
Okay.
credit, like this is one of the reasons why I still have really fond memories of 4th edition, because the 4th edition skill challenge system was fucking awesome.
Mhm.
You could set up all sorts of fun things and have a kind of gamified structure to play in them.
That's true.
You know, and that's what this does. It does it in a much more elegant way, but it's at its root. That's what was lovely about that particular system is you could set up and make a game of a chase or negotiation or you know, whatever the hell you wanted.
Yeah.
And the degrees of success, I've been quite impressed with how that's worked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know.
And I can see how in the long term too, the hope would be it's a neat resource. The idea that, like, you know, I've been thinking in the back of my mind that I'm blowing through a lot of hope, but I think like narratively what that would mean for Rufus is that it's just him kind of finally realizing how out of his element and how out of his depth he is.
Well, you sort of have
Right.
to. One of the interesting things is the way that the shadow works with the hope. That as you, basically, if you have more shadow than you have hope points left, you become miserable and in danger of losing control of your character for a time, which is like Boromir going crazy and trying to take the One Ring. So there's a real as your travels and your kind of journeys through the world weary you, there's a sense that you kind of started off fresh-faced and innocent and are gradually succumb to the world as it strikes against you.
Yeah.
Cool.
So,
Very cool.
Thranduil,
And
leading
I
an
look
army.
forward to the fellowship phase when you all get to come back and meet Pappy Burrows.
Right.
Yes.
Excellent.
Thranduil leads his forces first along the Elf Path and then back down through the Anduin Vale and into the Eaves of Mirkwood and directly to Woodland Hall, there to make the first stop on the way.
Who lives at Woodland Hall?
Woodland Hall is one of the woodman settlements,
Yeah.
and there is a Ingomer Axebreaker who is the leader of Woodland Hall, and I can show him to you guys.
Cleona, are these your people?
No.
Winder, are these your people?
No.
Are these Bjorning's people?
No.
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 Even more people. There's men everywhere.
Yeah, it's positively raining, man.
So Thranduil rides into Woodland Hall, and I do have a thing for Woodland Hall. I can show that to you too.
Oh, cool.
Here we go. Woodland Hall. You can see the hall itself that it's named for up at the top of the hill, and
Cool.
2 rows of palisades surrounding the hill itself. Thranduil rides in on his horse with a whole company of Mirkwood elf guards with him, and he gestures at the 4 of you to come with him as he rides up to Ingomer Axebeard's hall up at the top of the hill. And they speak together, not quite loud enough for you guys to hear. They're sort of
My king, did you need did you need me to do the talking here? Or have
Thranduil
you got
says,
this?
Master Hobbit, thank you, but I shall do the diplomatic niceties in this
Fair do.
time.
I'll turn back to me friends and say he's got this.
So very quickly, hanging out in Woodland Hall, rumor begins to spread that those isolated attacks by orcs have become more and more frequent. And in fact, there is fear that there is an orc army gathering and that it may attack one of the settlements along the eaves of Mirkwood. This Woodland Hall is the northernmost, and then Woodman Town down here, and then Rhosgobel itself here in the south.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, that's not good.
So you spend another night in Woodland Hall, and you'll recover up to, I think everybody will recover all of their travel fatigue with one more night.
Yeah.
And then you find out the next morning that the scouts that Ingemar Axbeard sent out along with King Thranduil, mixed companies of elves and men moving through Mirkwood Forest, have in fact found that there is a staging ground where the orcs are gathering, and that they are preparing, and it looks as though they are preparing to assault Woodland Hall itself. So all of you will have a chance to pipe up at the Council of the Valorous, that being Thranduil and Ingemar Axbeard and a few of the other thanes of Woodland Hall, as they discuss the need to defend Woodland Hall from the orcs. So if you have any ideas for what might be useful for defending, or how your experiences might help you guide the defenders or lead them in battle, speak up.
I know the enemy. I have experience of the enemy. My lore regarding matters of the shadow is a thing. It's a speciality of mine.
It is.
I consider my experience and what likely weaknesses they may have in their attack, or potentially a sort of a counter strike to take out some leadership, exploit a weakness. Yeah.
Okay. Cleona, she'll speak up and say that what she knows about the shadow, she can also apply it to what she knows about the beasts and tracking. They're not as home in the forest as we are. In fact, they favor the night. So the best thing is we could do with guerrilla tactics. If you send small parties out to pick them off during the day when they can't see you very well, you could whittle their numbers down and kill their morale. That's how we hunted in the mountains, and that's how you should do it here.
I'm gonna tell a story to fill everyone's hearts with hope. Storytelling happens to be one of my specialties. So I'm going to dig down into a particular, like a specific battle during the last alliance of a small group of defenders who were fighting off a horde of orcs, like much more than there are here. And talk about how every last man and elf involved in that fight saved an entire region from an invading army of orcs. And we are the ones now in this moment charged with doing the same.
And I am both adventurous and true-hearted, so I'll get my lucky armor on, and I'll start getting myself ready and stand as an example. If I can stand against that army, surely anyone else can.
Excellent. All right. Everybody is going to get one extra success die for the upcoming battle.
Cool.
Wait, there is a battle. Hold on.
I know. Surprise, surprise. So you have this council, and in fact...
some of it are also quite fickle-minded.
Right.
Thranduil agrees with you, Cleona, and has sent out some number of scouts to try to whittle down the numbers, but knows that what is likely to happen is that this force of orcs will smash against the walls of Woodland Hall, and they need their defenders to be manning the palisades and doing their best to defend the people here when that strike comes. So you get to see other people made the nice graphics. You get to see my attempt at making a graphic on here. So
it looks like a sex list.
What do you hobbits do in your holes?
In the rear,
yeah,
on the wall, at the gates, and then the main assault. The main assault is the most difficult.
So,
All we need is the climax of the battle now.
Oh man.
So, perhaps 2, perhaps 3 nights later, it happens. And in the evening, as the gloom falls on Mirkwood, you can hear thud, 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 thud. The drums of the shadow. It starts out quiet, and it's gradually rises and rises, and soon enough, the defenders on the walls can see torchlight moving through the trees, and the army of orcs has come to Woodland Hall to fight the battle. You are all...
They've got drums set playing. Are they also singing?
If this were the Hobbit, they would be, but this is moving towards the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah. So if they're trying to unnerve us, this is not the first time that Mr. Rufus Burrows has seen a row. And I'm going to turn to Orfir and say, when we had a rival from outside of town, and they start singing their town songs, what we do is sing our own, louder. Your songs, your secret songs. Can we sing them?
They're not war songs. I fear that surely one of your cider drinking songs would be much more rousing and rambunctious and much more the ticket. A fine idea, Rufus.
I know exactly of what you speak then. And I'm going to pick a song that is known wide around Bree and the East Farthing, and start trying to get there as many of these folks singing it as they can. Oh, you have no idea what that song might be?
That's okay. Roll me song
imagine.
at TN14.
Oh, perhaps I should have checked my stats before I volunteered that. Oh, can I use my folklore trait?
To know the song, yes. To sing it, no.
What about my storytelling speciality? Gonna use that to get an automatic success.
What about if you
not to get an automatic success? No.
What about if you told me the song, you use your folklore to tell me the song, and I'll actually sing it?
Oh yeah. My song's only 2.
Yeah, mine's only 2.
Oh well. Let's get here. My
I don't think 2's all that bad though.
Yeah.
2's not that bad.
let's find out. There we go. What's the target number?
14.
14. I'll spend a point of hope and make that a success.
Excellent.
There you go. So you're better than you thought.
Yeah.
This song's about an hobbit who kept trying to ride a pig, who kept getting thrown.
So
back to the sex list.
Oh man.
Mechanically, the way that the battle works is a little bit like a combination of the journey and the other combat that we did. For each hour of actual combat, what you will do is you will roll battle against a specific target number to determine if you lose endurance while fighting in the battle. So the options are to be fighting in the rear or in the reserves, to be on the wall, to be at the gatehouse over the gates, or in the actual main assault that can be either on the wall or at the broken gates, trying to hold the shield wall against the enemy. So
I'm going to be at the gates. No, I'm going to be at the gates right up there. Like I'm unsheathing my blade and...
What book is this in?
This is homebrew rules that I found that I really liked.
Oh.
It's called Mythic Battles Complete, and I can send it to you guys.
Cool.
The reason I ask is I want to know what other actions we can take. That will dictate where Rufus goes.
So, basically, there are not any preset special actions, but I'll let you do stuff like the way that song did. So mechanically, what that roll of song did is you reduced the endurance loss of a failed test by 1. So instead of losing 6 endurance for a failed battle test, you'll now lose 5 endurance for a failed battle test in the first wave of combat. So you can do all sorts of stuff like that. But yes, I figure Rufus probably belongs in the reserves.
I am not really built for battle.
I'm just wondering, where's the best place to try and snipe at the leadership? Is that a thing?
That's probably on the wall.
Okay. Yeah, so I want to be trying to any opportunity to, hinder their command and control.
Yeah.
That's what. I need to zoom in a bit.
And so I don't know if my virtue of royalty revealed applies the battle version. If this may be a different type of encounter.
This works a little bit differently.
Okay.
It will be useful. Basically, the way this works is we do narrative time for a while, and then depending on what happens, we may go into specific combat.
Got it. Cool.
Where do you want to be, Binder?
I want to be at the gates. I want to be with the main assault.
Those are two different.
I thought. So you said the gates were broken through. Are they already broken through?
Well, they're going to be. The orcs are bringing up a battering ram, and they're going to smash down the gates, and there's going to be a shield wall in the gates themselves, trying to hold back the orcs.
I want to be there because I want to bolster those men to keep that shield wall up.
As the battle progresses, are we moving back towards different areas? Like once the manifold fails, we go back to the gates and then to the wall, or?
Yes, so you can adjust your position based on what happens during the battle.
Okay, so then I would not knowing that they're going to break through, I would start with the main assault.
Okay, so main assault. So what we're going to do is we're going to do a battle test. It's going to be a TN based on your position. So the number next to your position is the TN of the battle test.
Okay.
This does not look good for our lucky hobbit.
Yeah.
I am going to spend a hope point.
It all popped. Okay, so
I will spend a hope as well.
Yeah, so that will give me just enough.
No, I'm going to lose some endurance, but that's okay. I can draw on the shadow.
Does that mean that everybody except Cleona succeeded with hope?
I did, yes.
And Rufus, yes.
Yep.
Excellent. And then Colin, you got a Gandalf, so you actually do get a chance to attack at the enemy's leadership. So why don't you roll me? It's going to be TN 16, a bow shot, and we'll see if you can.
I've got this deadly shot thing as well.
Yeah.
Deadly archery.
Deadly archery helps you to hit. You can add your heart in addition to your body on spending a hope.
Yes. Do I do that before I shoot?
No, that's the same way that spending hope normally works.
Oh yeah, okay, right. So I've got that in my skyrocket. Should it be required? Kevin's laughing at the rhyming slang.
Yeah.
Was it a 16? Yeah.
Target number of 16. Yes.
Yeah, sorry. So I need to sort that out.
So are you going to use a point of hope?
Yep. What attribute is that's heart plus?
Heart and body. And
body.
You get to use your favored body because it's a favored skill. So it's plus 10.
That's plus 10. Right. So 21.
Woo. Nice.
Yes. Excellent. So you just in the midst of the press, you see there are one or two of these larger, you might call them great orcs. They stand perhaps head and shoulders above the regular rabble, and you fire off a shot at one of them. It plinks off of his helmet and leaves a scratch, but it does not wound this fearsome shadow member. So, Cleona, since you're the only one who failed, you're going to take 5 points of endurance loss.
Okay.
And now we roll battle again.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we'll stay in the front.
Well, you have to right now. You can
Okay.
switch after this one.
All right, so I'm going to be spending hope again.
Nice job, Rufus.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
So what does a Gandalf give me then?
Still not going to be able to make that.
Auto success.
What do you want to do?
I want to take a shot with me bow, and no, I don't want to do that. I want to have used me riddle to have set up a trap to trick these orcs.
All right. Yeah, let's do that.
I knew that they were going to be coming in, and let's see that picture again. What's this place look like?
Woodland Hall. Show to players.
They're coming right up on the front there, yes?
Yes.
Are our forces outside as well, or are they fighting at the gate?
There's fighting at the gate. There's fighting along the walls where they have some ladders that they've put up against the wall to try to let orcs climb up. There's generally fighting. It's all around that outer perimeter, though. There haven't been any orcs that have breached in further than that.
Right. I think. Like what we've done is filled up boxes with rocks, and when they get to the top, we toss the boxes at them, and they carry them and their ladder back to keep them off the walls.
Yeah, I buy that.
Cool.
Let's
Roll
see.
me riddle at TN 14.
14.
Yes.
All right. I'm favored in that, so let's see. I'll have to spend an hope to get that, but that's a 17. Great success.
A great success. Excellent. So what you have done is for everybody who is on the wall in the next phase, they will, or in the rear, they will have a less significant endurance loss from failed battle rolls.
Right. Take that,
Excellent.
ugly.
So now that's the first hour of battle. Everybody who failed, you take 5 points of endurance lost.
Question. We
Yes.
become weary when our current endurance meets our fatigue level, right?
Yes, when your endurance is equal to or less than your fatigue.
Okay, so that's going to trigger my cultural blessing. So the beating of the drums and the pounding she's taking starts to catch hold of the shadow within her heart, and it starts thumping to the beat, and her eyes start dimming, and she gets the whole tunnel vision thing. And I'm going to ignore those 5 endurance loss because it would make me weary, and she's just going to take a point of temporary shadow damage.
Excellent.
So she's starting to go a little feral.
Cleona is going feral. Okay, so now you can switch positions again. You might want to switch to on the wall because Rufus was so helpful and cleared off some of the scaling parties. And then we'll roll again for what actually happens in the larger battle.
So yeah, because of her slipping control, she's going to drop back a little bit for now. That's her excuse for walking to the wall.
All right.
She's got to get her mind straight.
Ooh, that's interesting. So What is
Kevin, you know what it's like.
Yeah. What is happening is that the forces of the Free Peoples are being pressed severely on all sides, but they are holding. They are able to hold the gatehouse itself. They're mostly able to hold the walls. A few orcs come over on the ladders, and they're able to drive them off, push down the ladder. It gets pushed back up, and then orcs come back up. But generally, the outer walls are holding strong. So everyone is going to give me a battle roll again, Tian, based on where you are. So that's 14 for you on the wall and 12 in the rear.
Have we got a bonus on the wall of what? What was the bonus?
If you fail, you lose less endurance.
Oh, yeah. Okay, right.
Yeah, I'll go with it then. So 14. Ooh, no.
No, for me too.
I'm still looking for that big orc as well. Now that I know what I'm looking for.
All right. So, Orfin, take a shot at the big orc, and then we're going to trigger a battle hazard because Leona rolled an eye.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Where's my bow gone? There it is.
So once again,
it's a 16, wasn't it? A 16.
16.
Ching!
Nice.
Wow. What is your what is the piercing injury rate? Yes.
It says, so it goes rating damage, edge, injury 14.
Injury 14. Okay. So the great orc that you shot at is going to have to make an armor test against Tian 14.
Yeah.
Lose.
Oh, he succeeds.
That's good for him, isn't it?
That is good for him.
Yeah.
He also wasn't supposed to be weary, so it ought to be even more, but it's okay. He succeeded anyway.
Wow.
So, but you do some damage.
Okay, cool.
Once again, a strike that just bounces off the heavy armor that these great orcs wear. And now we're going to do a battle hazard. So on the wall, there's a surge of orcs that move against the walls. 3 or 4 of these ladders come up at once. They all start rushing. And what you have to do is the hold ground battle hazard, which basically means that every round there are going to be more attackers. You can't let 10 of them through, and you have to hold for 5 rounds.
Okay.
Let's do it.
So,
How does that work then?
So we're going into the regular combat system.
Right. Let's hope for goblins.
Right.
Yeah, my position's where it should be.
So it's going to be some opening volleys is what they're going to be getting from me.
All right. So opening volleys, you get to shoot at the orcs as they're trying to get up the ladders, and you get to make battle rolls for success die to use your position to your advantage. And you'll have initiative because you're defending from on top of the wall. So first round, let's do opening volleys. You're going to get
the battle number. What is the target number for that?
the target number is 12 plus the orc's parry rating, which is 4.
Sorry,
So
no,
it's
for
16.
the opening battle roll.
You said,
For the opening battle roll, it's 14.
14.
so I'll roll for that.
I do not succeed.
I'm going to use a little bit of hope to do
But
that.
I will try and shoot.
Oh, crap.
The orc is target 14 as well, or
Target
12?
16.
16.
Yeah, I'm going to throw a spear. So,
Here it is.
and I'm going to use a
For Pappy Burrows.
bonus die.
All right.
Hopefully this gives me another 6. No, okay.
Not a 6, but that's all right. So you
Right.
do
That's
spear plus your damage.
That's a 10, so my edge is 9. So that
Oh, and it has to roll for being wounded.
injury.
Let's
14.
roll for being wounded.
Fail. Dang it.
Not wounded, but it's going to take how much endurance loss?
5. Five is my
No,
damage.
it's going to take 5 plus 9 because you got a great success.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That hurts.
So one of these is killed. Nope, that didn't work. One of these is killed by Cleona's spear toss. Orfin, you get 2 volleys, and
Okay.
Finder, you get 1. And Rufus, you already took yours, right?
I did.
Yes.
Did we say they were 16?
16 to hit him.
So
And
these are a bit...
on the battle roll, if I had a great success, does that count as 2 success dice?
Yes, great success counts as 2 success dice.
Hit.
Oh, okay, I hit as well.
And 10 is above your edge, isn't it?
It is exactly my edge.
It is your edge. What is your injury rating?
It is 16.
16. 11. So, yes.
Die, ugly.
Nice.
One of these orcs killed. One of them wounded by Orfin. Orfin, you get 2 shots, right?
Another shot, yeah.
Yes.
Or I'll have to... I think I'll have to bump... I'll use a hope.
Use a point of hope.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So you have damaged both of the surviving orcs that are coming up over the wall. One of them, well, you get to pick who attacks what. I'm assuming you're going to stay in the same stances that you were in before. Finder and Cleona in forward, Rufus in defensive, and Orfin in rearward. You can change those if you would like.
I'm gonna stay
but
where
you
I
don't
am.
have to.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good
All
too.
right. Finder, who do you want to attack an orc?
Yeah.
All right,
take that one
Cleona,
right there.
about you?
Yeah.
Rufus, do you want to be involved in the melee?
I do.
All right. And Orfin, you get to take shots. So Finder gets to go first.
Okay, and the TN.
TN 10
For 10.
with your sword.
Yep. There we go.
Whoa!
So how do you kill this
Where'd you
orc?
get a lightsaber?
Exactly. Shroom. Oh, wrong movie. Hold on. I like kind of take it. I see it coming up, scrambling up a ladder like super fast, and I just wait. I have my arms cocked behind my back, and as soon as its head pops up and it sees me, I slice through and cut right through its neck, and its body just like twitches on the ladder and then falls off, and black blood spurting out.
All right, Cleona, your turn.
And she's going to go after the other one. She's just going to swing her great axe at it, or great forest axe.
Yep.
And
Target number 10.
scream and a battle cry at it, and then you said 10, okay. She's not vocalizing anything, it's just a scream of rage.
Yes. Excellent. Another one down.
Yeah, she like hits it and then kicks it off the wall as it slumps.
So 2 of them killed off by the volleys, 2 of them killed off by the next set. Here we go. 3 more of them come up the ladders.
Mm-hmm.
1 on Finder, 1 on Cleona, 1 on Rufus. Why don't we start this time with Rufus and Orfin, since they didn't get a chance to do their last round.
Let's see if I can add Orc Slayer to my Goblin Bane and Orc Slayer sounds good. It'll fit nicely on a label for some cider.
Never actually killed anyone.
What's the target number?
Target number is 16.
16. Oh, let's cross our fingers and our toes.
Oh, so close.
Oh,
Do
but
you have any
we'll spend
success
a-
dice?
I will spend a point of hope because then that is a favored thing. Makes it 22.
Excellent.
That's a great success.
So a great success, doing 9 damage. Nice.
Take that, ugly.
So you strike this orc, not killing it, but gashing it on the leg. And Orfin.
But what I could reach.
Yeah, I'm gonna,
That's right.
I'll try and finish that orc off before it gets a slap at Rufus, I think.
Yeah. So TN 16.
Yeah.
You can use a point of hope to get extra.
Yeah, so And do I get my body favored on that?
You get your body favored and your heart because of your virtue. So you get plus 10 if you spend a hope.
Oh, yeah, I'll do that.
So yeah, you once again, Rufus ducks down, and as he ducks down, wham, you get this orc.
Oblivious to it all going on around him.
I'm beginning to think it might be best just to duck.
All right, Finder and Cleona.
Let Finder go first.
Okay. I rear back with my long sword and slice through. TN is 10, correct? Oh, shit.
Wow. Nice. Smoking.
So that by itself, I think, yeah, you do 14 points of endurance, which kills this orc, but it is also a potential wound. So if he had survived that, you could have wounded him. Cleo?
He got kicked in the head and had cancer.
Right.
Yes.
Not to be one-upped by the ranger. She's going to swing as well.
Yes.
All right.
Quickly devolving into non-vocalization. Just
I think the orcs have warhounds.
That's right.
Oh,
I'm going to spend a point of hope to get that up.
excellent. And that's enough to kill your orc. So now we're going to roll one more. And look at that. It's a Gandalf, which means that the orcs, in fact, have timed their assault poorly. And as you gradually begin to look around you as the battle sort of doesn't so much fade away, but the orcs are gradually moving back away from you, and they're much more skirmishing and sort of short bursts of melee attacks. And it is clear, you realize that the sun is about to rise. And the dawn is coming. It comes up over the trees and comes down into the clearing around Woodman Hall, and the orcs move into full retreat back into the Mirkwood itself. If you'd like to charge after them, you may, or you can just let them go.
Not an option for Cleona. She's running after them.
Rufus is going to be looking to see how the people are doing. We have a lot of.
Stops her. She's running after them.
How
Where's
many
she
are...
going?
So I will tell you mechanically, if you charge after them, you have a chance to kill one of the leaders. That's basically what the. If you had lost the battle, it would be a last stand to try to hold off the forces, so that you could, retreat yourselves. If you win the battle, it's the enemy's last stand, so you get to attack one of their leaders.
I'll call out to Cleona and point to the one with the elven arrow sticking out of his armor. And as she's in pursuit, I will follow on after her and maybe smash the mic. Maybe gesture to find her that our intent as we.
Yeah, and I'll join.
All right.
Well, you're not going without me.
Come.
I want to jump on a pony to try and keep up. This is me war pony.
So here is a great orc, already looking a little bruised and battered from the battle and from where Orfin shot him twice. He has a sort of line on his helmet running back from where the arrow bounced off. So he is pretty good at battle. So he is going to roll opposed battle to whoever has the highest battle for taking initiative.
That is not.
I've got a 3.
All right. I think that's the best.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Okay, there we go.
All right.
TN 14.
TN 14.
16.
A great success.
Lovely.
Great success, yeah.
TN 14.
Ooh.
Oh, but he rolled a Gandalf though.
Yeah.
But Gandalf is. Oh yes, Gandalf is an automatic failure for adversaries. That's right.
Yes.
So
excellent.
yes, you will have initiative. You will have a chance to fire off. Everybody will have a chance to fire off one volley against this orc, and then charge in against him and strike before he has a chance to strike back. So,
Wow, so you get to do both.
What's the
Fine.
target number for the
for the
Oh.
volley, or for
the volley?
For the volley, he is at 17 to hit.
Okay, I'm gonna take a shot
I've
at
hit
him.
order.
I'm gonna aim right for his groin.
Do I get a double volley in this instance, or is this
You
a
do.
special?
You always get an extra one.
Okay.
Let's see.
God, his armor is tough.
Mhm.
I can add my body to that if I spend hope, right?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm not gonna be able to make that favorite for me. So
I will hope that up to 24.
All right. So let me make sure I'm keeping track. So, Cleona, how much damage do you do
with a spear,
with the spear?
5. Unless it's a threat or whatever, it's just 5.
It's a regular success. So, yeah, -5. Colin, Orfin, sorry. You
Yep.
do 5 on your shot.
Yep.
Finder, are you hoping your shot?
I guess I might as well because I have a great success if I do. So I will do so.
Yes. So you do, great boat, you do 14 points of
Yeah.
endurance loss with that great success. So your
Yeah.
arrow slams down into his chest and nestles in between some of the scaled mail that it's wearing. And Orphan, you get one more shot, right?
Yep.
Oh, nice.
Ooh.
All right.
Whoa! Extraordinary.
How much is
stats.
that?
Yeah.
So that is 8 plus 5, 13.
He gets his
So
personal damage.
he gets his personal damage twice, which is
Uh-huh.
4, and 5 for the bow.
Cool.
So that's
awesome.
minus
I see.
13, except that this creature spends a point of hate, which works sort of like the inverse of hope, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
And he has a hideous toughness that is very difficult to damage, and so only takes 6 points of endurance loss.
Well, we see.
And
about
now it
Yeah.
is melee time.
Yep.
So everybody put yourself in whatever stance. All the melee characters will be able to engage against this one. And if Orphan is going to stay in rearward, he can shoot at him too.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Let's see
Excellent.
if Pappy's lucky armor keeps me safe.
So,
Okay.
Finder,
Yeah.
you first, right?
Yes. And what I would like to do is, because it's a battle, reveal my royalty.
Yes.
Show him my blade so that he then has to attack me.
Yes.
If he attacks. So I will do intimidate first.
Yes.
Let's see.
Roll
What's
battle against a TN of 17. He's tough to intimidate.
I will use I'll use hope, which gives me
Okay.
an additional 5. Let's subtract that.
So that means that he loses 2 points of hate.
Yeah.
Which will make him easier to take down, and he will be attacking Finder. And Finder, you get to make a sword strike, don't you?
All right. Yes,
In
I
addition.
do. And
So
TN
it is 6 plus 7.
13. Okay, here we go.
Yeah.
All right.
Excellent.
So
So
great
that
success.
is
Great
14
success.
points of damage, right?
That is correct.
All right. So once again, you can see the hate surge in this creature as you smash against his armor, and what should have been just a brutal strike does not bring him to his knees the way it ought to have.
Aha.
You can feel that the malevolence that this creature exudes is starting to wane as the shadow is no longer able to support him with the level that it once did. Cleona.
Excellent.
Well, Cleona, seeing how wounded he's being and the little flicker of shadow that burgeoned in her heart during the fight starts to flare, she's going to challenge the adversary, which basically anytime she rolls the feat dice, she gets to roll it twice and keep the highest, and the same if he attacks her. And she's
And
going
he's
to
not going to attack her. Yeah, that's great.
then pull the spear from him and then stab him again with it and swing her axe at him with a 2-weapon fight. Just
Jeez.
She's just going, completely throwing caution to the wind. She's losing, like, her TN is 0 now, just plus her parry.
Yeah.
That's what she's doing. So starting with the spear, I don't know how I'd roll this twice, but what's my target? 13, was it?
13.
13.
Yes.
So
Nice.
that's enough. I won't need to roll it twice then, unless I get a Gandalf. And then that's 5 damage from that, and then the Great Forest Axe.
5 damage, and that's edge for the spear, isn't it?
Nice.
14 injury. And then that one.
Oh, nice.
Oh, and I had my body because I got a success on it. So that's 13 with the axe then. So she just
So
goes
once-
all in, stab and hack. Going
Again,
right for his leg.
Smashing into this creature, and you can see cuts and bruises appearing on it, and it is sort of, if it is a man, it would be huffing and puffing and doing its best to stand up at this point, but it is not down yet. And mechanically, I will tell you, since this is a one-shot, we might as well talk about mechanics. This creature has a special ability called Great Size, which means that when you reduce it to 0 points of endurance, it is not dead. You have to actually reduce it to 0 points of endurance and wound it, or wound it twice. So that edge is really useful because now it has to roll protection against what is the spear's injury 14.
Cool.
Fail.
Yes. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
your spear, how do you kill this massive orc?
Go for his groin with the spear, slice the femoral artery, and then hack into his throat at the same time. And I was trying to bring him down to Rufus's level so he could stab him.
Oh, I sure will be stabbing him. You can never be too careful.
That's right.
So there's a flurry of blows as this creature falls, and its black blood spurts out in gouts. And then as everybody's going to make a corruption test for going through the battle to see if the shadow has affected you, because battles are shadowy events.
Let's see. That's wisdom?
That's
Yeah.
wisdom. TN 14.
Use of the shadow, I should have some kind of penalty because of that.
The shadow has no
Ooh.
sway over me.
Oh, it does over me.
And what's our target?
14.
14.
If you're very powerful.
Because I got an extraordinary success,
Nice.
can I do anything to help find her?
No.
No, hold on.
Shadow is personal. But Cleona, wow, that's a lot of Gandalfs.
Yeah.
Lots of Gandalfs and 6s on that.
Yeah.
Nice
Make
job.
a deal with the devil?
So,
Do that.
Finder,
Yeah.
what are you feeling here in the aftermath of the battle? As you can see,
I-
the orc army is in complete rout. You can see them rushing through the woods, the woodsmen racing after them. You can imagine that the forest's undergrowth of Mirkwood will be trampled by orc boots and will have splotches and patches of orc blood as these woodsmen run after these creatures. And what is it that's going through your mind that affects you?
I feel a great sense of power to have been involved in taking down this great orc and in routing this entire army of orcs. I almost want to chase after them and keep killing them because it just made me feel like I actually could change things in this world.
Excellent.
For the better, but through
But
very
it is
violent means.
a shadowy thing to think
Yes.
that you could do it that way.
Yeah.
Excellent. And so Woodman Hall is saved. Not least in part by the efforts of our 4 heroes who are lauded in song and who will go down in the history of Middle-earth as small but meaningful members of the Free Peoples in their fight against the Shadow.
And most legendarily, they'll all be renamed as brands of cider.
Exactly.
Yes.
That's awesome.
In the Red Book, there's
Right.
records of the brands of cider that the Burrows family created.
Excellent. I love it.
Nice.
All right.
Awesome.
That was fun.
That was it.
Yeah,
That was
great.
great.
man.
Yeah, I think you did a really great job of also kind of taking us through all the different parts of the game.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Absolutely.
the adventure writers.
Oh,
I can't
okay,
take credit
well.
for that. It was pre-written.
Well, you found this combo ending battle type sequence. That was
Yeah,
cool.
I cut it down a little bit. It normally would be a little bit more elaborate, but
Well, it
obviously
definitely
run
gave
it
us
up
a
on time.
sense. Yeah, sure. And it gave us a
Well,
good
and
sense.
you guys are lucky. I ran a couple of test combats, and in one of them, I had 2 of those great orcs, and they killed a party of 6
Wow.
without going down, either of them.
Wow.
They're mean. If you don't get
Yeah.
lucky and get a wound on them, because you have to get a wound, which you can only get with either a called shot or rolling your edge on the feat die. Otherwise, they will just stand there and they will dish out endurance damage over
There's
and
clearly a lesson to be learned here, which is to bring an hobbit on every expedition.
I feel like the game is designed to make that
Yeah.
you know, a necessity, but also it makes it super fun, especially the way you played him.
Like I genuinely, I wanted to play a hobbit because like when else am I going to play a hobbit?
Right.
In this anyway, but I genuinely felt like I had my niche to play, but I felt like I still had plenty to do in every scene, and
Yeah.
you know, there were times when that character got a chance to shine, not just talking about guys falling off pigs and whatnot.
Yeah. Well,
That-
and I liked everybody was good at
Kev-
something. It seems like.
Yeah.
Kev, why are you
Agreed.
putting on that Canadian accent, man? I
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah,
you
it was
want to
great.
do the outro, Kevin?
Yeah, I'll see the outro here.
Or-
So let me,
Yeah.
and I'll stay in character for this. Let's see. Let me get out of here.
now I'm confused.
All right, so let me just get out of.
I thought he was going to stay in character.
Turn that off and turn it back on. All right, so for those listening at home, thanks so much for joining us for this very special one-shot session of the One Ring Role-Playing Game. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns regarding this session, please direct them to Arlen Walker, because I don't give two shits. I will amend this. Of course, I'm kidding. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, if you leave a comment in the comment section below, we will make sure that the gets to Arlen's attention. Alternatively, you can reach me on Twitter at Dungeon Musings, and you can reach Arlen, our lore keeper, at Cowboy. What is it?
Cows from Powys. It's a reference to John Cooper Powys.
It's from
It's
Cows
an-
from Powys. So
He's
it's
an underrated modernist author.
so assuming
Awesome.
that there some may struggle to find that, I'm going to spell it out. So it's cows as in cows, from as in from cows, and Powys is Powys. So cows from Powys, and in addition, you may notice that we've got a link to something called Heroes Save Villages, and that is the charity fundraising campaign that we're running on our channel. And I'll be running a special game of One Ring for Arlen in a few months' time. So thanks very much to Arlen for his very kind donation. If you want to learn more about the Heroes Save Villages campaign, you can find that at the link below. And you can also find more about the charity which it benefits, which is the not the One Ring Role-Playing Game. It's SOS Children's Villages International. Tricky trying to keep the accent and give the actual information. Doesn't help that we've been playing for about 8 hours today.
That's
and
right.
about
Yeah.
12 hours in the last 16. Last but not least, I do want to say thank you to Arlen for running this for us today, and for the other guys for joining us on the channel to give a try in the One Ring. I had a great time bringing Rufus to life, and I appreciate you giving me an opportunity to do that.
Yeah, I had a blast. Thanks, Arlen,
Thank
for
you
running,
guys
and,
for playing with me Saturday afternoon. Yeah, it's
That was
great
great.
fun.
and thanks
Yeah,
for
it's
hosting,
brilliant,
Kev.
man. Really good, really good.
Yeah,
Yes,
really
this is
fun.
a really great game. And if you want to learn
Yeah.
more about the game as well, too, I did not include a link because I didn't plan ahead. We hobbits tend to just fly by the seat of our pants. But if you do want to learn more about the One Ring Role-Playing Game, you can find plenty of that on the Cubicle 7 website, as well as the Drive-Thru RPG, and on the MeWe. There is a pretty active MeWe group for the One Ring as well, which has a bunch of interesting information on it. So otherwise, thanks again to everyone who joined us. Oh, and in chat too, we've got quite the Spike Pit fan club going on here.
Hey!
Redok says he's just a listener at the moment. He loves the dad and son D&D stuff. Cullen, keep it up. Playing Outward on PS4 with girlfriend while listening. Old school D&D like action game. Awesome game. Only $40. Always curious about One Ring. We play a hex crawl a bit like OBS with less players. Heard good things about the travel rules. So Redok and Walter and anyone else who joined us in chat or from streaming, thanks so much for joining us in Middle Earth. We hope to see you again here very soon.
Yeah,
Thanks
man.
all. Until next time, have fun.
See